Yes, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Europa League is back. Jadon Sancho's nearly here. Well, we know actually a lot of the Man United connected press are talking about us haggling over a deal. We're going to break that down with you. We're going to talk about Sanchez's departure away from Manchester United. We're also going to look at the Europa League dilemma. We want your views. We want your opinions. But before that, hit the like button right now. Please smash that like button. Please share this on your social media platforms. We're going to open the StreamYard link later so you guys can come and ask myself, Elite KJ, and Devil in the Details, Danny, their views and opinions. But with no further ado, boys, how you doing this evening? Hang on, I clicked the wrong button. There we go. There we are. How you doing, boys? You good?
I'm good, man. Simon Stone, Laurie Whitwell, James Ducker, all the man saying it's not on. That means it's happening on Friday, fam. That's all I'm saying. Let's go, baby. I'm ready.
Was it going to happen any other way, though? Like, we knew this headline was going to come eventually. I'm convinced now this is just what they do.
It's what they do.
This is just what they do. I'm not saying they're making anything up. What I'm saying is whenever it comes to United transfer story, if they hear something like this, they're ready to roll with it. Like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to be like, oh, should I print this? Should I not? It's like, yeah, no, we're running with this part. We're going to run with this story. Yeah, even though 5 hours before we said the opposite. It's just...
Yeah, I think as well, right? It says, there's a comment here. This is from Laurie Whitwell. It says, Man United are clearly frustrated at leaks presumed to be coming out of Germany in the last 34 hours and want to provide some balance. This is something KJ said. I'm going to steal your thunder on this, but then I want you to elaborate. I also think there's an element of Man United doing the British press a favor because the British press want to be the ones to break this news, but it's for Fabrizio and Jan and these men that are the ones who are breaking this. You know, the information that we were given earlier on today come from a couple of journalists that we were talking to, and they're from abroad, and they gave us some insight to what they've been told. And of course, that is coming from the Dortmunds of this world and the German end of this deal. And I think there's almost an element from the British press where it's like, no, what we're going to do is play it down. What's going on right now? It's interesting as well, because I also think you get this element of the British media like to dumb down transfers for the British players. Why we think net spend and war chests and shirt sales are going to pay for players. It's how it's always done. It's why we still talk about players' salaries in a weekly level. And I think we even have to start going away from that as a channel. Business just isn't done in that way. Every way that you do it on a computer game doesn't come into it. The biggest element that's going on now isn't the fee. It isn't just the money. It's the legalities of the clauses. It's what will actually generate the add-ons to be paid. How will the installments be paid? When? By what time? By what amount? All of these things are very, very important when it comes to these deals. The problem is if you start going into the legalities of it, it's so difficult for the general person in the street to pick up on. They just say negotiating over price. I think they dumb it down for us to keep it really, really simple. Actually, we've got Neeks who's joining us now as well. Neeks, what's going on, my bro? Good. Aside, I haven't spoken to Danny about this deal enough recently, but Jadon Sancho to Man United, England's future front three at the club, of course, with the sort of the va-va-voom, the French connection as well, Anthony Martial. How potent are Man United going to be next season?
Well, if you go by
sorry, I wasn't sure who he was asking.
Danny, I asked Danny. Sorry, Devlin.
Okay.
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
What was I going to say? I think you phrased the question wrong. You mean how good this front three going to be for the next 5 years? We're set. Ain't no mistake about it. We're good. We spoke about this before. Look, the average age of the 21. That's the average age of our front 3/4 if you include Greenwood. We're set for the next 5 years. Stylistically, people call it freestyle football, but I've never seen a manager encourage his players to play 1-2 in the final third, and we call it freestyle football. Anyway, Jadon Sancho is going to fit into that. Like, Martial's going to have a new telepathic partner now to play 1-2s with to get him behind your position. They're just going to be so fluid. He fits in perfectly. This is one transfer deal where I'm not worried at all if he's going to work or not. Like, I've got BT TV. I watch it. I've been watching him all season. I've got no doubt in my mind this guy is going to be top 5 in his position for the next decade. There's not a single doubt in my mind. We're set for the next 5 years. Probably longer. Like, make no mistake about it.
Beautiful.
Mate, it's so true. I just want to point this out to everybody as well. Laurie Whitwell and all the others, they're talking about how United are annoyed. Talks still go on. There's a little bit of a kind of, there's other names on the list as well. I would say I trust Fabrizio Romano 95%. Like, that's high level of trust for a journalist. Why would we have? Why again would we be agreeing personal terms in more granular detail with Jadon Sancho if we were heavily looking at others and weren't serious about getting this deal done? This is grandstand and posturing. This is literally the British press pushing out stories, as KJ said, so that in another 2 days when it's done, they will then try and break it and go like, oh yeah, we got the headline. Now remember this British press. It was Daniel Harris on this show last Thursday, based on his article he already released, who said that United agreed to pay a lump sum up front, which he said was going to be 60 million euros, and the remaining amount over the course of the contract. What he did stipulate is that the initial deposit could change up or down, and the terms of the installments would be negotiated. No other British journalist no other journalist, including Fabrizio and Jan, had mentioned it until he did. And it's funny, really, because he's one of the only British guys who's not really getting brought into the club. And he told me off it. He didn't get information from anybody at Man United. Again, that come from abroad. So there's definitely an element of like the British press trying to like club together here to push a certain narrative. But Neeks, from your point, go on, mate. Go on, bro.
I was going to say, yeah, because just before I came on here, Ramon sent me a screenshot of David Ornstein's tweet saying, Jadon Sancho, deal is far from off, Man United looking at other options, blah, blah, blah. And I just said to him, I said, I trust Fabrizio Romano. So what's he got to say? Because everyone's got something to say. And it was very coincidental that David Ornstein, Simon Stone, Simon Peach,
Laurie Whitwell,
James Ducker. I didn't see Laurie until just now, but those four all tweeted within 2 minutes of each other exactly the same thing.
Brief. It's a brief.
Listen, Ed Woodward Press send all BCC in that email at 8:59, and at 9:02, between 9 o'clock and 9:02, they all put the same tweets out. It's a brief. Fabrizio Romano, I've seen a few of his interviews on some different YouTube channels, and he knows that, I'm not going to say his reputation on the line, but he's built up a reputation of being so reliable that he's not going to put out false news at the risk of ruining the reputation that he's built up in the last few years. So I have no reason to disbelieve what he says so far.
Sorry, cut in. So there's Christian Forkers tweeted and Fabrizio has retweeted. It said update on Sancho United. It says Sancho have an agreement on a contract until 2025. The player gets a mega salary, but Dortmund still insist on 120 million euros. Now, but that's exactly what Fabrizio said earlier has been agreed, is that. And what's now happening? Honestly, it's a brief. It is to do with the media, but the most important bit is it's the contract. It's the clauses and the details. So example will be, it won't just, again, this isn't like a computer game, ladies and gentlemen. It won't say win the Champions League, win the Premier League, win Ballon d'Or. There'll be intricate details within every single. I've seen player contracts, and it's like it is goal bonuses, but there are sort of like there's maximums and there's minimums, and there's different goal bonuses if you come off the bench. There's different goal bonuses if you get a winner. You might
expire as well.
Yeah, it's one time of the year. There are clauses like if you play less than 30 minutes in a game, you get paid less of you get a deduction in salary. These clauses are intricate. These are the finer details that are now being reviewed by the legal teams. You got to think about the add-ons here. Dortmund will want, if you win a Premier League, we want £7 million. Man United have then got to go back and say the seller here want it to be as easy as possible to get your money. The buyer will say yes, but Sancho has to play a certain percentage of games, a certain minutes of games, and needs to contribute a certain amount. United are going to build it with so many sub-clauses that they have an opportunity to go, yeah, we achieved that, but these things we don't pay. Why would they want to pay?
And all that's happening now is that both clubs are using the media to push their narrative of the transfer, because both Borussia Dortmund and Man United and the fans want to come out of this deal having got the better end of the deal. As far as I'm concerned, as long as we get Sancho, I don't care what Borussia Dortmund feel and how they feel they go.
Yeah.
So this has happened already. Do you guys forget? So with the Bruno Fernandes deal,
The
I was
Bruno.
following that. The only source I followed on that was Sports Witness because they do proper translations of what the Portuguese media are saying. So they were first. The Portuguese media said the deal will be done within a week. The English media, to catch up and to copy them, said the same thing. When it wasn't, now they're acting like, oh, we've been on top of this the entire time. It's not going to be done in a week. There's a disagreement over this and that. What the Portuguese media said was United were definitely going to pay 65 mil and it's going to be 50 mil guaranteed. Then United told the English press, actually, you know what? No. That the foundation of the deal is not that, actually. There's still more negotiating to be done. That's all that's happening there. It's the exact same thing.
Same thing with
Harry Maguire.
And not only that,
Harry Maguire, same thing.
And also
Harry
bear
Maguire.
in mind, I've said this before, the Portuguese, the Sporting Lisbon president is lying and saying we paid 65 mil flat out. I've seen him, he lied recently. It's I think I told you this about a month ago. So that's the narrative. That's what's happening in Germany. Yeah. By the way, look, another thing that's happened in Germany with Build as well. They're saying Sancho wanted to join Liverpool out of nowhere. What's that about? That's just to say he's leaving Dortmund to go join a team that's not going to win trophies. That's the bad mind him. Bear in mind, they said I think 2 months ago, Build said that he's going to sign a new contract because he might not join Man United, but the fee they quoted was less than what they said a year ago. They're just constantly
and then earlier today, you had the £340 a week salary. People trying to say he left for money. It's
and the transfer fee. I bet you, when it's all said and done, sorry, Terry, the German media are going to say we paid 120 million euros, and the English press and United are going to tell the English press, no, it's actually about 15 million less, but
90 million.
But we've already seen it with the salary, as you mentioned, KJ. We had it with Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez. Now I know this because Alexis Sanchez banked with my department of a bank, and I'm not talking about a department that has 12 million customers. I'm talking a department that has 700 customers. We knew what people were earning. We had to. It wasn't my client, it was a friend of mine. We knew how much he was being paid. We knew this because the money comes in, right? And we used to say, he's on 500, 600 grand a week. It's he's really bloody not. And the irony, I remember doing screenshots of the Daily Mail of articles over the course of a month. The same newspaper in a month printed 7 different weekly salaries for the same player. They had no idea. And this is what they will do. They just throw things out there. And if you then delve into the journalists and look at so if you've got a northern correspondent that's primarily a Liverpool or City correspondent, he is going to make this deal look as bad as possible, as desperate as possible for Man United.
Terry,
you got mate.
It peaked today. I saw James Ducker put out a tweet, his article, and I couldn't, it was yesterday's story, I think it was. And the man goes, Man United will save £560,000 per week by selling Alexis Sanchez. I'm like, we were never paying him £560,000 a week unless he was starting, scoring, and assisting every game. And he damn sure weren't doing that, or we wouldn't be getting rid of him.
Yeah, because if he came in and was scoring, let's just say he was in a season with 30, 35 goal contributions and getting paid 500 grand a week and balling like he was at Arsenal, nobody would care. The media wouldn't even talk about it because it's as these things always do.
I also want to add as well, Jadon Sancho's photographer is taking a picture of him leaving Germany. Where's he going, fam? If he's not going to United, why is he leaving training? Why is he on a plane?
Look at this.
Why is he going to?
This is the best bit of the picture as well, right? This is my favorite bit.
Why is he going Terminal 7, people? Tell me why.
Archers. Is there? I don't know this. I mean, Heathrow is probably the biggest airport in the UK. That's only got 5 terminals. These are terminals ain't got no. Dortmund's little airport hasn't got no 7th terminal. It's cryptic, but it's there. And I mean, I'm looking this way as well. Like, this is more cryptic. All I can see in this picture is predominantly black, red, and white. And that's Man United's colours, so that must mean he's going to Man United. Do you know what I mean? And it's not. I thought at the first time, I thought in the bottom corner down there, I thought that was a Man United. Wouldn't that be amazing? It was a Man United shirt. But listen, it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's going on. And like I said to KJ earlier, these legal elements that we're now going through, or not we're going through, but we're watching. These things might.
No, we are going through it.
Yeah. What I meant is I didn't want somebody editing and going, "Oh, look, Terry thinks she's one of the legal experts on this." No, I don't. I've got no legal expertise at all. But what I do know is that this could take 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks to get the legality sorted out because there are so many elements to this. But they'll never sort of talk about these in the press because it's too boring. No, like nobody. We've done shows on here with the financial experts where we have them on to talk about how transfers really work. No one cares. They just want it watered down. Like spend 100 million. We got in 50 million. We only spent 50 million. Net spend. That's all they care about. War chest, war chest. As they think the manager is real. They think that the manager goes and sits in the house of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and brings a little. His wife makes a cake for his wife and asks for my wife. There's some flowers. Would you like to sign? No, this is not 1981. Anymore. This stuff's over. It really is. We're going to move on to Alexis Sanchez for a moment. By the way, get your super chats in. And about another 50 minutes, we'll open up the lines. You guys can come and ask some questions of the boys. But Alexis Sanchez is going.
Finally. Come on. Worst deal in Premier League history. How can a deal? Sorry, Neeks. How can a deal involve two players and both clubs suffer? Tell me how, fam. How? Like, it's literally the worst deal in Premier League history, to the point where they both leave to the same league and both of them got let off for free. Both clubs right now, forget a transfer fee, you guys are just gone, in fact.
I'd say Arsenal is still, we paid a lot of money in salary, yes. We thought we were buying someone, great. I remember making a video that went out. I want to say it was AFTV, but it might have been UFF, maybe it been UFF and AFTV, where like I made one for them and they made one for our channel that went out about why it's a good signing. And I remember being asked to do it, and I said to Ross at the time, I'm like, mate, I'm buzzing that Mkhitaryan's leaving. There's no good reasons. I had to sit there and, when you're just trying to be nice, and I did a video. But I remember thinking, they've actually got a dud here. Like, Mkhitaryan, like, our guy was expected to perform. But for me, it was I think it was the final kind of nail in the coffin for Man United operating in the unorganized, unstructured, uncultured way of just, right, we want... It felt like, the tactic was almost, okay, City want him. There's big more. That's how
the thing is, it was a case of, remember, City was so far ahead of us. It was like, if they get Alexis Sanchez, we have got no chance of winning the league like next season. Yeah. And Alexis Sanchez was supposed to bridge that gap. And he just brought us further and further away. And I'm not saying it's all his fault because, he asked for what he wants and the club gave it to him. And it's not his fault at all, to be honest, other than the fact that he didn't perform. But his signing, forget what he didn't do on the pitch. It ruined the structure of the club and the balance of the dressing room. And that's the reason why Man City pulled out. They said that if we were to sign him on the wages that Man United were now willing to give him, it would disrupt the whole dressing room. And that's what it did for us.
I blame Mourinho. I've spoken about this before. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer taking the risk of not replacing Lukaku is going to benefit the club in the long run. We're seeing that now. Get the targets that you actually need that are going to help you rather than like making a signing for a short-term gain. Don't forget, leading up to that January when he signed Sanchez, he had Martial and Rashford going toe-to-toe. Remember, Rashford tie out the fullback for 60 minutes, then Martial comes on and flip it over. You remember that? And then what does Mourinho go into? Here you go.
4-0 FC.
Yeah, 4-0 FC, fam.
And it's like, okay. And then in January, here you go. Here's a player. Those guys are on the bench now.
Yeah, it made no sense. And also, if you notice, remember at that time, that's when the whole Pogba Mourinho thing started to take shape in terms of their friction.
Yeah, in the January,
and that's when David De Gea, he started to make some noises about he ain't too sure about the club, and his form was going up and down as well.
That month we signed Alexis Sanchez. Jose got a new deal, but everything started to fall apart from that point, and that's why I look at that deal was almost the straw that broke the camel's back in many ways. And I think when you look now, and again, I admit, and I will continue to apologize for as many times as I can, where I lost sight of things with Ollie as I became too emotionally involved. I wanted I wanted the success to be quicker than it was coming. I didn't look. I wasn't looking at the detail. I wasn't looking and studying the detail. And I was speaking to Aaron earlier on today. We were chatting on the phone, and I was like, Pogba going to sign a new deal. I'm pretty sure of it. I said, but Bruno and one of the most sought after and coveted players of the last 18 months, 2 years. Sancho, the only other teenager outside of Greenwood, is Mbappe that's been put on this kind of pedestal. Ollie's attracting them. And Ollie was attracting them when we didn't have Champions League football. That tells you that the culture at the club is good. That tells you that the Pogbas and the Rashfords and the Martials of this world are enjoying what's going on. And if it's good enough for them, with all due respect, who the hell are we to say, don't give him a chance, get rid of him now, just because of a handful of bad results? And interestingly, we saw Angel Gomez today sign for Lille and then go on loan at Boa Vista, right? Now, I'm not attacking this player. I'm not having to go at those level of clubs. But the way these fake Reds were going on when he left, they were talking like Barcelona were going to sign him up and start him next season. He's that good. And I'm not saying he won't make it, but Lille signed. And I'm pretty sure some of the other big clubs looked at him. But I guarantee you they gave him the same answers that Ollie did. You can be part of this squad, but you ain't touching this first team for a while, mate. You are third, fourth choice. So he's decided to go to a team who, by the way, have loaned him first of all. He's now going to play next season at a club where he's probably going to start games. And if he kicks on and goes to the next level, I'll hold my hands up. But I think it's about time we stopped as football fans disrespecting Ollie like he's some sort of, like he is a PE teacher and doesn't know what he's doing. This guy is a multi-Premier League winning, Champions League winning, coach of 10 years that's won 2 league titles in his homeland, the domestic cup in his homeland, and over the last 18 months has rebuilt on and off the pitch the biggest football club in the world, a job that 2 of the greatest managers of the last 30 years in Jose Mourinho and LVG fouled in doing. Now, we're not back to our heights yet, so I'm not going to give him sort of accolades, he's completely done it. But what he has done in the last 18 months is a difficult job because he had to undo 7 years of absolute nonsense. But we seem to not want to put any respect on his name. And do you know what it comes down to? He doesn't have the charisma. We know that. He doesn't have the charisma of a Klopp or a Jose or a Fergie. Sometimes he says things and I go, no, it's a little bit. But that's what he's like in front of a camera. Often those kind of people are very well respected behind the scenes, and he clearly is. And I think more Man United fans need to look at the fact that look at this. Marseille FC hated Ollie for ages. The best season in your favourite player's career has come under Ollie. You telling me that? By the way, you said that Jose
Martial done it himself. He improved himself. Rashford improved himself. They all just improved themselves.
Those guys couldn't improve themselves under LVD and more so Jose. See, it's nonsense. That's why you got to put respect. You have to put respect on that man's name. Right, go on,
they called obviously when he was playing, we called him the babyface assassin. But I mean, not babyface anymore. But he's definitely an assassin when it comes to what the structure of Manchester United and what he wants and what the players he needs to get rid of. I think there's a quote where what did he say? I'd rather have a hole in the squad rather than an arsehole. So he means I would rather get rid of the bad eggs and replace them with no one than keep them just for the sake of numbers.
And you see how Pogba it wasn't gone, people?
It was, exactly. I mean, obviously,
that's inconvenient, KJ.
And that's so true. Go back to videos from mine a year ago. I'm sure Neeks, you boys were saying the same things in your spheres. I know obviously KJ and Danny weren't doing stuff with this back then, but I said the same. I've criticized loads of things about Pogba because I will. I'm never going to bully the guy. I'm never going to put it all on him. Equally, I'm not too scared to criticize things that need criticizing because fair is fair, and I treat everybody completely and utterly equally. But I said last year, the players that you see leave over this summer and January and beyond, they're the viruses. They're the bad apples. And do you know what's great about Ollie? How he finessed Lukaku. I still think Lukaku's like, he wanted Lukaku out, but he made Lukaku feel like he was doing him a favor. You don't want to be here anymore. Listen, I've got your back. I'll help get the owners to do it. I'll support you through it. I'll push for you to lead. And he made Lukaku.
Yeah, he covered for him all preseason saying, he's injured. He's got a little niggle. Like, he's just doing his best to get back to fitness.
And you know what, though? That makes the other players respect him because it makes other players think, do you know what? If I go for a bad moment, this guy's not going to throw me.
Yeah, he's not going to throw me under the bus.
Matic had comments at the beginning of the season that were negative.
Look at Sanchez. About a few months ago, they were talking about whether he's going to come back or not. And he goes, well, Sanchez, he could come back and do some good stuff for the club. I looked and I knew, Solskjaer, me and you both know, Sanchez ain't got a future. Listen, but you're saying the right things because if we don't agree a deal, he's going to be back in the fold one way or another, whether it's just in training, he's going to be in and around the training ground, etc., etc. And you have to make sure the atmosphere doesn't affect the players that you do want to play and that you do want to nurture. So he says one thing in public, like you should, but he does another thing in private. But people who want to only criticize Ollie, and I'm not saying Ollie's not, he doesn't, what's the word? He's not absolved from criticism.
He's not beyond reproach.
Yeah. For those people who only want to criticize him, will look at that and say, oh, how is he bringing Sanchez back? The guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a PE teacher. I'm like, you've got to look beyond. You have to read between the lines. But if it was a manager who they would want, whether you're a Mourinho fan or a Poch fan or whatever it might be, you would be looking between the lines because your only agenda is to prove that you're right to back that manager. My agenda is to prove that to back Manchester United, to look what's best for Man United. And I can see that Solskjaer, with all his drawbacks and all those kind of things, his first thought is always Manchester United. And I can't say the same for the at least the last manager we had, if not the one before that as well.
Could not agree with you more. And people, you know, I was having a little Twitter exchange with Saeed the other day. He took exception to the fact that I said that Arteta could be the new Jose Mourinho. I purely and utterly meant it as a positive. I genuinely mean that he could be the guy. That could end up being his style, and none of us saw it coming. We all naturally assumed identical to Pep because that's who he was with. But actually, it could be more. He could have his own want. He could have his own vision for how he wants the team to play football, especially if he isn't going to get the financial backing that the other top six are going to do. He might have to go. You know, would Diego Simeone play exactly the same way if he was managing Barcelona or PSG or Man City?
Probably.
Yes.
He might do.
It's Diego.
He's a madman. He's a different type of guy.
Atletico Madrid do attacks like equal and smaller teams. They only play that real dogmatic way against the teams that are pound for pound, player for player stronger. But we need to put more respect on Ollie's name, and you know we're certainly going to push that and criticize him when he needs to be criticized. But I remember just on what Saeed said, he was like, "You don't act like." He said something along the lines of, "Don't act like Arteta didn't work on these victories against City, Liverpool, and Chelsea in the dressing room. It wasn't a plan all along." And I'm like, bro, you criticize Ollie when he parks the bus against these big teams, and you act like it's freestyle football, only moments of brilliance. Well, you could argue that it was only a couple of moments of brilliance from Aubameyang won them the game, but no, it was in your eyes, and that's because you don't want to be, you're not looking for the positivity. You can always look for the negative. You always can. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted.
Yeah, I was just about to tell you. Go to his tweet reply.
Again, he's pretty much confirmed what I've said, other than the granular detail, and which is what I thought things would be. But this is his tweet. We'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see. So he's essentially said, someone tweeted him saying, "Come out and explain yourself, please," which is, by the way, disgusting. Rude.
Very disrespectful.
Who are you, man? This is what I mean about entitled football fans, fam. This is what I mean. They deserve smoke.
Fabrizio here said, nothing to explain. Personal terms are okay until 2025. Clubs are in talks and trying to find an agreement. Advanced stage, as I said, still not agreed about add-ons and installments. I never spoke about any deadlines or something similar. It's a negotiation and talks are on. And this is my view. This is my view on here. For me, I still think that Fabrizio is dumbing that down. I believe the add-ons and installments, I don't believe it's monetary. I truly, truly believe that it's more contractual based to get the money that they're after. But as Fabrizio has said, there is no deadline, and I believe this Friday deadline thing is a nonsense. All it's to do is to build up a crescendo, and then if it does happen, the press can say, "Told you." If it doesn't happen, then it'll be negative stories for a week or two. That'll build up all the interest again, and it'll reach another crescendo later on down the line. It's all a game. This is the media are like an entertainment business now. They're not media outlets, but that's the news. But a couple of super chats to read out first of all. Where's the first one gone? Oh no, that was the first one that was in front of me. First super chat here says, Sky Sports and many other outlets saying United may walk away from the deal. True or clever from United? I don't trust our board. What do you think, Terry? I mean, we've already answered this. We all think it's a clever approach by United, or the media just kind of spinning it. Sky Sports, I wouldn't overly take it. Remember, it's only a few days ago, people like Sky Sports are running with Man United are going to sign Jimenez. Yeah, and then United come out and debunk that.
Is Gabriel's agent still in England talking to Everton and Man United? What happened?
Something like that. Comment: don't believe it was only down to Ollie. What changed was Bruno signing, which would never have had Pogba and McTominay.
Yeah, but Ollie still has to integrate Bruno into the team and use him like.
Oh wait, sorry. Can I say? You know what? People with that argument, you don't understand. But when you're saying that, you're actually proving the point about what Ollie's done prior to Bruno. What you're saying is he created a whole team that all it needed was one jigsaw, one piece, and everything else will click. So that means he created a system. That means he created a plan. That means he created a structure and a strategy to win a game. But all he was missing was one piece, which means that it must be partly due to Ollie.
Yeah, it's like
because if it was just purely individual, you would need 11. You would need 11 world-class players if it was purely individual.
When in the history of football has a manager not got credit for signing a good player? Since when? How can you say he signed this player so he can't get no credit? What nonsense are you talking about?
If we remember, people like praised Sir Alex for signing Carrick, saying we just needed that one extra piece of the jigsaw and we kicked on to another level. No one was saying, the Man United are only good because they're signing Carrick. Everyone's like, yo,
let's go deeper than that. Let's go deeper than that. What did Sir Alex Ferguson always do? He built from the back. What's the first thing Ollie did? He signed defenders. People may be embarrassed about Maguire because he's awkward and he's slow, whatever. He's improved our defense. I know it's inconvenient for people who have, I don't know, thin skin and can't take fans, showing them videos of him doing some things that just
the Wolves admin did him dirty.
But he's improved our defense. Wan-Bissaka's improved the defense. Now he's about to sign a player in Sancho who we've been tracking for 18 months. This ain't a sign that's just come out of nowhere. We wanted to get him last summer. We've kept tracking him. He's got better. If you look at what Martial and Rashford do, look at what Sancho does. These three, same traits. They run off the back of people, one-touch football, technique, skill, everything you want from Manchester United type forwards, not a Lukaku. Mourinho wanted Lukaku. He wanted Morata as well. Neither one of them are Manchester United type strikers. Neither one of them. And look what Ollie's done. Yeah. Look what he's done.
There's a comment here I want to focus on, and this is an interesting one. Football Brown, who is a Cardiff fan, says not only did Ollie get Cardiff relegated from the Premier League, had we not sacked him beforehand, he would have taken us into League One the following season, signed 14 pants Norwegian players while at Cardiff. Well, this is my view on that. Ollie's come out and addressed it and been very open that he should never have taken that job. He wasn't ready, and the club at the time was being run poorly. And that was his mistake. And Fergie warned Ollie and told him it was the wrong job for him. Don't go there now. It's a bad one. He made a mistake. Equally, what have Cardiff done since, bruv? If it was Ollie's fault that you were dropping like a... where are you now?
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask all of you a question? Can I ask you guys a question? What the hell is any...
Sorry. Was that about 10 years ago that he was there? Maybe a bit less? Maybe 7, 8 years ago. My point is, it wasn't like he left and then suddenly you jump back up to the heights. Your club was being run poorly. Ollie wasn't great there. We're not going to deny that and say that he was. Point being, it wasn't like you just suddenly bounced back overnight. It's a bit. I know we've attacked Jose and LVG. The problem was it wasn't about a new manager. It was about rebuilding the culture at the football club. And if a club run well, it will generally, by and large, do well. Sorry, Danny, go on, mate.
You're just going to ask, what the hell has any of that got to do with Manchester United now?
It's like saying, do you remember when Klopp got Mainz relegated? You see, I told you he's awful.
That's like my wife attacking me because I cheated on a girlfriend 10 years ago. What's that like? It's 2020.
What's that got to do with the price of tea in China?
Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about here?
It's like this thing. A lot of
we flopped at Cardiff. Okay, cool. He flopped at Cardiff, but is he flopping at Man United now? That same fan probably bantering us saying we're going to be mid-table this season. We're third. Cage, I saw you calling out that guy on Twitter. Man United have the most expensive, have the highest paid front three allegedly will have now. So we have to win the title. But you know what I love about that? Okay, so now you're saying United have to win the title again. Things have changed very quickly, haven't they?
Neymar earns more than our projected front three by himself.
Yeah, Franklin. Yes, that happened, but we still third and about to get Sancho. So what, fam? We still got Bruno. And Haaland, we're taking his best friend, fam.
See, this is the thing, right?
You know what about that, though? This is what I said earlier about Ollie. We didn't get Haaland. Did he go and say, all right, just go and splash 50 mil on this guy? Because Mourinho would have. You know what? We can't get the big target we want. Short-term solution. Let's get someone.
And on that, Frank, Yeah, sorry, go on, Dan. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I was saying on that as well, Franklin. The reason we didn't get Bruno in the summer is because one of the things that Ollie is making sure we do and behave like is we don't sign the wrong type of player. We don't get stripped. We don't pay above what we're prepared to pay for a player. If that means you miss out on the player you do, all that does over time, it asserts you in the transfer market as being ruthless. It means that people go, I'm not going to try and mess about with Daniel Levy. No one takes the piss out of him in the market because he won't pay over a certain amount and he won't sell under a certain amount. You're going to go into business with Tottenham and buy a top player from them. You know you're going to have to pay big bucks. Otherwise, you're not getting them. The Haaland deal, we didn't get him. And again, that was another great piece of business by Manchester United. Haaland only wanted to move, and him and his father said, we're only going to a club where we have a fairly low buyout clause after a minimum 18 months. We want a maximum point where it comes into fruition after 18 months. It's got to be between 50 and 60 mil. Man United said, absolutely no way are we having because Man United thought the player was brilliant. They don't want to have a clause in where, let's just say he does have a falling out with Ollie in a year's time from now, and he's got a buyout clause of 50 million, and we can't stop him leaving. You got no, people, I remember getting told by somebody, but you might have been able to convince him to sign a new deal in the next 18 months and get out of it. But what if we don't? what if you don't take those risks? It's bad business. And this is where United got better. We had the Dybala situation, talking to Dybala. The feedback into Ollie was the representatives who are clearly representing the interest of the player. I spoke a bit about squad status, but all they're really interested in is money, and the Wonga. So Ollie said, no, not for us. So Man United walked away. And I put, stupid. He's brilliant. Of course he is. But he didn't really want to join Man United.
And you can tell because man got MVP in the Serie A this season.
And Ollie keeps saying we need the right ones. He keeps saying it, and people need to start listening. When he says the right ones, he's doing his background checks on players. So in regards to Bruno, he said through Patrice Evra, he got through to Cristiano Ronaldo. Spoke to Ronaldo about Bruno, and that's what convinced him. Okay, yeah, all right, let's definitely go and get this guy. Harry Maguire, Mike Phelan worked with him at Hull, so we got the background on him. All right, he's the right.
Can I just say before you go into the super chat, and I think we mustn't lose sight on, for me, what I feel is still important that we need to get a director of football, and the reason why I say that is Solskjaer is not going to be here for 26 years like Sir Alex Ferguson. Solskjaer is doing the job of a director of football and a head coach. So he's doing basically the job that Ferguson used to do. And I'm not saying in terms of the quality, but in terms of the scope of his work, in terms of arranging the culture of the club whilst managing the players on the field. When Solskjaer does leave eventually, we are going to have to replace him with the exact same type of manager who understands the culture of Manchester United, or we're going to be in the exact same position. Unless you say, all right, Solskjaer, you go upstairs and become the director of football. Because I don't trust that Ed Woodward is going to have learned, and between him and Matt Judges, learn what it takes to keep Man United in that direction. I can't trust it just yet. So I still think we can't lose sight of the fact that we still need a sporting director or a director of football of some sort.
This is interesting, Neeks. You know why? Because today, David Ornstein put out saying United are looking for are still wanting a director of football. But what he said, did it come out a week ago?
Yeah, but he's probably doing his own little...
Yeah. So what he said as well is but they're not looking for a guy who's the best transfer guy in the business. I think what they're looking for is someone who does Ollie's job but not manage the team at the same time. They're looking for a cultural guy. I don't think they want a guy who can go and find for signings for them.
Yeah,
they want a guy who can keep the culture of United.
Let me just say this though. Let me say this. Number one, I've always secretly felt like Ollie has a blueprint from Sir Alex Ferguson, by the way, because the things that he's doing, I'm just like, this guy's working. How does he come from Molde and just knows what to do? He's clearly got a blueprint from Sir Alex Ferguson. Beyond that, look, Barcelona have technical directors. They're a football club who've had them for like 15 years. Look at their transfer policy recently. AC Milan have always had technical directors. Look at their transfer policy recently. Inter Milan, they're only just coming back. They haven't done well in Europe since Mourinho left. That was a long time ago. Haven't won Serie A in since Mourinho. Like, technical directors don't guarantee you anything. It's the structure of the football club and the ideas and the philosophy behind the football club. So I can't see Manchester United or Ed Woodward reverting back to the way things were before. I can't see Ollie leaving then would be like, right, I'm back. I'm going to get involved in transfers and scouting again. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I think there's so many elements, and you know what's funny as well. One of the things that was thrown at Ollie as a criticism for months was you got to stop speaking about the past. The past is gone. Fergie's gone. It wound up the Ollie out brigade, and we know, you know, people on particular channels, and it wound them up. Oh, how dare he not park in Fergie's space out of respect? All this sort of, well, yeah, he does park in Fergie's space. The only time he doesn't is when he knows Fergie's coming to the training ground twice a year. And I think that is a type of respect you show. So if I turn up to one of my old martial arts centers where I used to be an instructor, no one there really outside of a couple of the older people know who I am anymore when I turn up. But I walk in and the whole class is made to stop whatever they're doing, turn, bow to me as one of the senior elder statesmen of that job. I bow back and then they continue. So purely a martial arts thing. That isn't the owner of that gym not having authority over everybody. That's showing a sign of respect. And that's what those kind of small things are. You know, all my first bosses I had, I still call them boss when I see him now. One of them ain't been my boss for 15 years, but I still call her boss. She's my boss still. I still call my teachers miss and sir because they're my teachers and I have respect for them. And I just think people lose that. Franklin come back with another super chat. He says, but you can't attribute the success solely to Ollie and say Bruno was the missing piece. If he was the missing piece, why didn't Ollie get him in the summer? So two things. No one's saying it's solely Ollie. Ollie is needing it and deserves a big amount of credit. Secondly, why didn't he sign him in the summer? Because of the cultural problems that he was out there fixing. Because we weren't going to keep being, you know, Man United, to put it into a nutshell, for 6.5 years, overspent on our purchases and undersold out players. And you do that over enough time. That's why we ended up hemorrhaging 800 million out and not bringing enough back in. And that's an area where the Glazers will be listening to Ollie now. And this is the thing. A lot of people call it Glazer puppet. You have to be. If you want to use that phrase, cool. You ain't getting the Glazers out. Fergie ain't getting the Glazers out. I would much prefer the Fergies and the Ollies of this world on the inside of the tent spitting out than the outside spitting in. Building trust with these guys and making the best possible situation for Man United. If we do what all these nonsense fake Man United fans say to do, and Ollie just attacks them in the press, they sack him and they move on again. The only thing that doesn't change is the club's ownership. No matter what goes on, the owners are not selling until somebody makes them a mammoth offer or they stop being able to make money. So then what's your alternative? Great, you can have a hero for a minute who comes out on national TV and calls the owners leeches and snakes and they're terrible for the club and blah, 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 blah. What happens the next day when he's sacked? You think somebody else isn't going to come and just manage and listen to what the Glazers say? Or would you not rather have someone like Ollie who's building trust with them? He's rebuilding the club. He's going to make the best out of the situation that we're in. And maybe, just maybe, we'll start winning trophies again. If you want to call that a yes man, give me 10 of them because for me, that's what you need. Another super chat from Dinesh says the media and football pundits complain about Klopp not having a backup when they they did not get Van Dijk in his first window and got him in the second. This is true. Everybody did. And as football fans, we have to learn from those moments ourselves. I know I certainly did. And that was a learning point for me around, I used to say, well, just sign someone. No, don't just sign someone, sign the right person. We're going to move on and talk about the Europa League because it starts tomorrow. And we know tomorrow's game it's not quite a dead rubber. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing some of the fringe players get an opportunity to really stretch their legs. Question for me is this dilemma. Do you boys want United to try and win it? Strongest team in, because basically it's going to be 3 games, quarterfinal, semi-final, final, if we win them. Do you want the strongest team possible trying to win the tournament? Or would you prefer just lots of rotation, keep the players fresh, and then save everybody's energy for the start of the new campaign? What's your thoughts, Nix?
For me, I think for the last game, I want to see a complete different 11 to anything we've pretty much, maybe something similar to the Norwich game, to be fair, in the FA Cup, minus Bruno, minus Maguire. I think it should be, I'm talking Fosu Mensah and Bayu at centre-back, Ethan Laird and Dallo or whatever. I don't think Dallo's going to play anyway, but that's the level of play. I don't want to see Pogba. I don't want to see Bruno, Rashford, Martial. I don't want to see any of them. I don't want to see Greenwood either, even though he's played in Europa.
All I want him to do is stat pad. I want to get him a hat trick and then take him off. That's all I want from him today.
No, not for me, not against Lass.
Right, I've only just come back. I disagree with you, man. I think we need to keep our top players sharp. That's what I think.
No, not for the last game. I think the last game go out with a weak team for me and because
But if he's not going to trust those guys when the going gets tough, what's the point of playing them in that game?
No, but but a lot of those guys, you're gonna have to trust them at some point. We're not gonna get rid of all of them. They're going to be playing at some point next season in some competition.
No, but the Premier League schedule was much tougher than what the Europa League is going to be now. So me personally, I'd rather see Oli, because basically the way that team sort of stumbled its way through to the Champions League, they need time on the pitch together because their in-game management together is terrible. And I don't think that's something a manager can fix on the sidelines every single match.
We could beat last 7-0 with our first team, and I wouldn't learn anything. I prefer play a weak team against Lask, and then the Copenhagen Istanbul game, probably play 8 first teamers. You look at the fitness and that kind of stuff of everyone. And if we then get to the semis where it's either going to be Wolves, Roma, Sevilla, full strength. If we get to the final, maybe Inter Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, full strength. But I think we should slowly, as the tournament goes on, obviously it's only 4 games, but slowly increase the strength of team. Because the reality is the final is 2 weeks before the start of the new season. As much as we might need to improve X, Y, Z, if the players are getting tired after 60 minutes, then they're no use to anyone.
Yeah, so, but we can be wrapping teams, and time sometimes is a mental thing. If you're wrapping up weak opposition within 50 minutes, and we should be wrapping these teams up in the first half. I think we'll have five subs in the Europa League as well. I'm not saying go full Avengers on them. There's no need for that.
Yeah,
just maybe 1 or 2 Avengers with the B team. Do you know what I mean? Mix it up a bit.
Yeah,
I don't want to see just all reserves. That's the last thing I want to see, because I think certain players, for me, they still need. I think Paul Pogba looked like he was lacking some sharpness. I don't see how rest is going to benefit Rashford and Pogba at this stage. I think they've had the week off now, and they need to get back to playing football to make sure that we're going into the latter stages of the Europa League with everybody firing on all cylinders. Because what I've noticed with this group of players, and you guys tell me if you've noticed this as well, whenever Oli has these guys to himself for about 10 days with no football, for 2-3 games, you can see these guys, they're sharp, the fitness is there, the latter stages of the game when we go strong. Then as soon as we get to that every 3-day schedule, whatever they worked on for that 10-day period when he had them to himself, the players just seem to forget it. They just don't seem to hold on to it. And you see management get worse and worse and worse.
I think that's tiredness, coupled with the fact that the strength and the quality in depth isn't there within the team. We've already said that, some of these games in the running we had, and we have to also look at the fact that this period that we just had after lockdown is highly unusual. Not only were there so ridiculous amounts of games in a short period of time, you're also playing in the summer, where it's hot and it's difficult. And you had no can you imagine some of those games we had a crowd, the West Ham game and the Southampton game at home, especially? The Stretford would have sucked that ball in. There's all those elements. We were playing 2 teams that had nothing to play for. You're mentally fatigued. You might need to. So all these little different elements there, I think, that play into it. I'm a bit like this. I feel like tomorrow night's game, I want to see about 8-9 players who are reserve. And I'm not just talking kids. I'm talking, as you say, this give Deloma might not play, but let's get some of it. Scotty, Mac, and Fred for me. Give them 90 minutes. Give them some time. But maybe if there is, listen to the sports scientists. They are saying Pogba could do with another 60 minutes. Give him 60 minutes as an example. They might say, look, these 3 need 20 minutes. You bring them on with 20 minutes to go, and we just get through this game. I think it'll be played at about 60% pace because LASK, they're on
apparently they've gone through some mad trouble since lockdown as well, like point deductions and players leaving and that, something mad.
Yeah, so you'll probably find it. United will go into it. Stay focused because you've got to. You don't want anything to go wrong and get through it. But then it's what do you boys think about the remaining part of the tournament though? Because there are some United fans that are like, look, we're in the Champions League. The trophy isn't that important. Let's just get through it. Let's treat it like pre-season. Don't take it seriously and get ready. Or do you boys want to win this?
Oi, let's win it again. Let's win it again, fam.
I always say, look, European trophies, whether it's Europa League or Super Cup, Champions League, they add prestige to your football club. Make no mistake about that. I remember one time, I can't remember when this was. Basically, I think it was I can't remember when this was, but I was watching Sky Sports, they put up a graphic of United's European trophies. And because we don't collect those little ones like the Super Cups and stuff, it didn't look very good. I know in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. When you accumulate all these little bits, plus I want us to win the Super Cup as well. I want us to face the Champions League winners. So right at the start of the season, we know where we need to get to upgrade a level. So I'm always looking at the bigger picture. I mean, you guys tell me how you feel about this. I feel like we should somewhat, in a way, win the Europa League, but almost treat it like a precursor to the pre-season as well. Because we're not going to have a lot of time for the...
That's what I'm not a sports scientist. That's what I want them to do. I don't know how they do it with the training because it's not my area of expertise, like in the slightest. But that's how I imagine it and envisage it. Is in this way of what we need to do is train in a way that's getting us ready for the start of the Premier League. But the games are almost, you go out and you play hard in them because they're going to be a week apart. So I think there must be a way of doing that. And I don't know. And we're probably going to get an extra 2 weeks off compared to the other Premier League teams. And that could be a disadvantage because if the teams, City will hopefully be where I actually want City to go deep. I'd love actually City to win the Champions League now. Not because, just because I'd like to get them in the Super Cup. But no, I agree with you. Like, I'm Joe. It's really mad. This season's put me beyond caring.
Nick's face is like, nah. Nick's like, I don't want that spot. I don't want that spot.
Terry.
I get your point. I'm over like worrying about what other people win now. For me, it's a case.
I hear that, Terry. I hear that, but Champions League, like I have accepted that Liverpool win that. I grew up. Liverpool had more Champions League than us. As 2005, they won it again. They got to the final 2007, nights at Anfield. I accepted that. Man City came around in 2008 when they got the money from the Sheikhs and they won the Premier League. I accepted that. But I can't accept the mixing of it. I can't accept Liverpool in the Premier League. And I can't accept Man City in the Champions League. Some people need to stay in their lanes, man.
You know what it is? I think I've just got, I don't know how, maybe it's because I've mentally put myself in this space this season where I've not allowed myself to think about, like, Arsenal winning the FA Cup has bothered me every time they've done it until this year. I'm just like, I don't care. And maybe it's because I'm just so happy with the direction my club's going in. I don't sort of feel, you generally speaking, people talk about the general average working person who's like an SJW, and they say like half the time that they care about these things because they're unhappy with their own lives and they're like projecting. And I think it was kind of like that. Dinesh, who I know is a Liverpool fan, says win the Europa and you go into pot one. That is a big advantage. Going into pot one gives you a much better opportunity of getting out of the group stages, which again, from a financial point, is important. And like you say, Dan, with winning the Super, like getting into a Super Cup, it's just a nice trophy to add. And I don't think in my life, I don't know if we've ever won it. I think we lost it in '99.
We lost to Zenit.
We didn't win it, you know.
We definitely lost to Real Madrid. That's for sure.
We won it. We won it after winning a Cup Winners' Cup back in the early.
You're right.
I've never seen it myself, but we have won it.
The size of their squads. It's why Chelsea and City, since they've had the billionaire owners, have taken the League Cup so seriously, because it's just like an extra trophy. You look at, I mean, Chelsea in the early days especially must have won that thing about 5-6 times. City,
well, Jose always said, listen, that's the first trophy this season. It comes around in February, March, whatever it was. You can get an early trophy on the board, and that can be a springboard for the rest of the season. We won the League Cup and the Europa League under Jose in 2017. And I remember, I always go back to 2006. We're in the league, I think it was called the Carling Cup back then. And we won it with Ronaldo. These are 20-year-olds, 21, 22-year-olds. Ronaldo, Rooney, Saha. This was obviously the time when, Van Nistelrooy got phased out of the team.
Solskjaer was in that squad, by the way.
Say again? Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Alan Smith. We had a lot of young players in the squad, and that was their first trophy, their first taste of success. Now, I'm not saying it's the sole reason, but we went on, and I don't think it's a coincidence, to win 3 Premier Leagues in a row, including the Champions League in 2008. They got that first taste of success, and they wanted more of it. Solskjaer spoke about that, I think, in his press conference today, actually. And he said when he won his first trophy as a player, he wanted to taste that again. So regardless of whether it's the Europa League or the Worthington Cup, if I'm in that competition, I want to win it. Now, how much you go all out for it is another matter. But the fact that we are 4 games, effectively 3 games away from winning it,
you got to go for it.
Go for it.
I agree. And interestingly, though, we look at Jose when he won those 2 trophies. The next season, we were better. We come second in the league, biggest points total since Fergie retired. But it was only
FA Cup final.
FA Cup final, but it was only from that January onwards, where it all started to fall apart, as you mentioned, that it started going backwards. And that was more to do with how the club was being run as opposed to the manager. If that relationship with him and his players and him and the board had remained great, I think we'd have won more trophies between the end of 2018 and now. I just think it would have happened because Jose does win things. But it's about, you've got to get the balance right. So I agree. If we could win the Europa League, start the season off, maybe pick up a Super Cup, as you say, with the players we've got coming in, being in pot one, it would almost feel like Man United are back. You know, we would be I think we'd have an attack. We know how good we're going to be. We spoke about Sancho already when he comes in. That attacking lineup is young, but it's potent. I was saying earlier, if you look at the least talented of all four, is Rashford. And that isn't something to be embarrassed about because the majority of teams in Europe, and he's the least talented of the four. And that isn't. And by the way, though, I think he may actually be the hardest working. This notion that he's the first one to miss out, I just think people are deluding themselves. I actually think over the next 3 years, the guy that will eventually miss out could end up actually being Martial, mainly because of how good Greenwood's going to be through the middle.
All I'm saying is this, Terry. Imagine, yeah, we've got a league game against relegation fodder, and then we've got like some next team in like the FA Cup or something like that, or like Champions League. And Ollie's like, you know what, yeah, let me rest Bruno, yeah. Sancho, you go in the cam, Greenwood on the right, Martial up front, and Rashford on the left. You telling me that won't spank, man? Jeez, come on.
KJ, you're 100% right. I was going to say deeper than that. Why rest Bruno? Bruno's not a pure 10. He's an 8 as well. Imagine Pogba and Bruno at home against, say, a relegation team. Pogba and Bruno in the double pivot, and you just let that front four do whatever they want.
Terry, can I just shout out? I just want to shout out Matt Coppish in the chat, causing a mischief in the man like Matt. Yeah, listen. Johnny come late to the Premier League, and it well done on your first Premier League title. Blackburn, Leicester, they see you. We got 13 waiting for you to catch up. Still, well done.
Fulham now in the Premier League, so they're back. They're back again.
I've never liked they need to just stay where they are, man. They don't. We need Nottingham Forest to come up next. That's what we need. Now Leeds are back. Get Forest back up. I wanted big football clubs back in the Premier League.
I wanted Brentford up because they haven't been up before. Fulham, we've seen you before. You've been up, man like Tigana and Steve Marley and them man there.
Dempsey and them man there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the problem with Brentford coming up is like, you just know it's gonna. I just get the sense it's more. It's not good. Bournemouth. I was a bit sorry to see Bournemouth go down because they shocked everybody by staying up. If that made sense, but they've done the wrong thing. This is they probably just stayed with Eddie Howe too long, and Eddie Howe's probably sitting there now thinking, I guarantee he had offers a year or two ago. I mean, there was a lot of talk about him becoming the Arsenal manager at one point, and whatever. But that's why I think when you're at these smaller clubs, if Chris Wilder gets the opportunity now to go to a bigger club and they're going to pay him really well, go, because at some point it runs out. Most people it does. But
do you know what their problem is though? The problem is these managers need to learn another language. That's the advantage foreign managers have over them. Like if it don't work in the Premier League for a French manager, you'll learn some Spanish and go manage in Spain. With these guys, if once they hit that summit of a mid-table Premier League football club, we already know that the top six, or the historical top four, aren't hiring English managers unless they're a legend like Frank Lampard, or somehow Paul Scholes decides he wants to manage Man United, want him. Those are the only Englishmen who are going to get opportunities at the elite football club.
Yeah, I kind of look at
Wilder. What's he going to do? He has to learn a language. Go try and manage a Sevilla. Learn Spanish. Try a Sevilla. You might get in Champions League football.
Eddie Howe, I reckon Eddie Howe in League One is doing a madness, fam.
Exactly. Learn some French. Neil might give you a job.
Mate, this is a life lesson for young people listening. Like, honestly, it's one thing that holds my industry in the banking industry. I go back now and I had no guidance as a kid. I wish I'd have studied harder at French. Spanish is probably a better language for banking. If I knew another job opportunities, if you've got dual languages, it's mad. Honestly, and you can work. It's just easier to work in certain sectors. So absolutely, a lot of people saying Romano has tweeted. Yeah, we already read out Fabrizio's tweet.
No, he actually tweeted a proper tweet, like not a reply.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's kind of saying the same thing. To be fair,
yeah, it's not like a mad update.
Yeah.
It's just,
what I was gonna say is the team that's most pissed at Leeds coming up is Man City, because now they're only our third most hated rival in the Premier League, and now nobody really cares about them at all.
See Leeds fans charting about us when they came up.
Yeah, it's going to be
rent free, baby, rent free.
And the great thing is, like, it's nice as well because we're coming. I don't know. I just feel so confident going into next season after the way we ended this year with the players we've got coming in. The fact we're keeping people, there seems to be harmony. You know, you're even seeing now a lot of the real negative United fans on socials. They're starting to come around a bit and take things a bit more lightheartedly and realize, oh, actually, maybe I made a few mistakes. And
you know what I like, Terry, what I'm seeing, because obviously when things were not too good, and if there was a negative tweet or a negative person, that tweet would gain traction. You see a lot of agreement under the tweet and replies. Now, and I was having to kind of trying to put out fires. Now I'm going into tweets and threads, and I'm seeing people just debunking any kind of wild negativity immediately. And I love to see it, because it shouldn't be a select group who are trying to, I'm not saying be naive to any issues, but just still remain. That kind of stuff. So
I'll admit I was part of those fires, fam. I was I was a part of the fires, bro. But I've admitted my mistakes.
No, but listen, it's not about mistake, because there was a fire. There has been fire. So we were all part of it at some point. Nobody could sit here and be happy when we lost to Liverpool and Burnley 2 games in a row, back to back. But it's the people I'm talking about who will win, or we go into some long unbeaten run and then we lose 1 game and they come out the woodwork because they've been waiting for 16 games to a tweet that was in the drafts, and people are out there now like,
it's the same tweet they put like when we lost 17 games ago. It's the same tweet. Just waited. I'm just waiting for this. Just wait.
You know, we literally deep it, guys. Deep it. Since February, we've only lost 1 game
in the FA Cup.
And that's it.
It's not good enough though, because we're playing freestyle football. Like, there's no beautiful. Oh, by the way, do you know what I figured out? Because it's been bugging me for a while. I figured it out. Do you know what it is? If we played beautiful football up until the final third, like if we did what everybody else is doing now in English football, triangles, overloading, everything the Spanish coach has been coming to England to teach people for the last 7 years. If we were doing that in the build-up, Ollie would get credit for what's happening in the final third. Because we're being very, very direct, we'll put in a direct pass into the half space. As soon as that ball goes into the half space, it's the trigger. 1-2 touch combination football, getting behind. It's the same formula. All of our best goals this season have come with that direct pass into the half space. But because it's just a simple pass and it's not pitter-patter this, tick-a-tacker that, nice little pirouette, little backflip. Like, not everyone has to do that. When I was watching that Arsenal-Chelsea game, before that game turned on its head, I was watching this thinking, you know what? If this is what the Premier League's going to be like next season, where 2 managers have the exact same tactics, same formation, you both want to press, you both want to dominate the ball or not have the ball at the exact, it's like you're just cancelling each other out. I don't know if you guys watch like the French football or the Bundesliga. I watch the Bundesliga quite a lot. You get some games where both teams are trying to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, Bundesliga, that happens a lot in the Bundesliga.
Not good to watch. It's just not good to watch.
Same with La Liga, to be fair. It's a bit like that too. Everyone's trying to teach.
La Liga's changed in the last few years, but yeah, definitely I would say 5-10 years ago, everyone was trying to play the same way.
Has to copy Pep's Barcelona and the Spanish and playing triangles and overloading for build-up play. There are other ways to play the game. The game of football's existed a very, very long time. Things change. Right? It's just
I get that. And I think people, I do think, sorry, someone's calling in by Skype. We're not taking Skype calls. By the way, Michael McGowan, thank you very much for your donation. And yes, 144,000 subs. We're closing on 150,000, which is great. And
hit the sub button, people. Hit it and the like while you're at it.
Always
and the share.
Button, please. And shares.
Can I ask you that question?
Yeah, man.
Providing the Sancho deal goes through swimmingly, as we all expect it to do, what position individually, what position do you think we need, or is the most priority position after that? Obviously, there's probably a couple, but what is the next for you personally on the list?
CDM. CDM. I just think as much as Matic has been good since he's come back into the team, I'm not gonna say he hasn't. But you can tell man can't play more than 2 weeks. Like he can't play 2 weweeks, 2 games a week. Like when Matic is fresh, he's sick. As soon as his legs get a bit tired, he turns back into the Matic from a few months ago, and it's just horrible to see, man. So like CDM for me, definitely.
I'm gonna back KJ up on this. I've been flip flopping. 2 days ago, I would have said centre back. Do you know what it is? Matic in his prime, by the way, at Chelsea historically, he'd be good up until like Christmas, then be crap January, February during like the tough fixture list, and then get his form back in March. We know the longer you pay Matic, the worse he gets. For me, if we get a CDM, like if we sell Mata, Lingard, Pereira, we sell some centre backs. For me, if we just go, we go to Leicester and say, hey, do you want 80 million cash up front again? Give us NDD. Like, and we change the formation because I still think
4-3 to 4-3-3.
We need to go to 4-3-3. But for me, like that is a more pressing. We need to get an athletic central defensive midfielder and just let Bruno and Pogba truly be a duo. And I'll tell you why. Sorry, I'll tell you why it's more important than a centre back. This season, I think we're like bottom of the league. Like we've conceded so many goals from set pieces. We'll solve that problem next season. We haven't conceded a ridiculous amount of goals from open play. We will improve again defensively. So that's why I'm looking at it but in that midfield area, that's just like a hazard. Like health and safety check, you ignore something. Like that's what we'll be doing if we don't get a proper CDM. Because the midfield is imbalanced. We've got 4 midfielders that play in the central area, 1 DM, 2 box-to-box players in Fred and McTominay, and a hybrid in Paul Pogba. Doesn't make any sense when you're building the squad to have those 4 as your main options.
On that, would you be willing? Would you be happy? I know we've got to get rid of Deadwood or raise money, but if the option, let's give a very binary option.
I've told you I'm selling Fred, but go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if it was, we can bring in Ndidi or Thomas Partey, but we have to forget raise the money for the transfer fee. We just need to remove someone from the. Would you be happy to see Fred go?
Oh, yes, and I'll tell you why. This is the way I've looked at it. If we sell, by the way, he costs 50 million. He's going to be due for a new contract in 18 months or the next 12 months. So is he going to exceed his value with that new deal? Yes, definitely yes. And he's already probably proven, we've seen the best of it. We've seen his ceiling. Beyond that, if we get an Ndidi or a world-class or just a better CDM than Matic, we've now strengthened our first 11. Our squad is now stronger because now Matic is the backup CDM option. We've sold Fred. So what are we going to have to do considering Matic's age? We're going to have to replace him in the next 18 to 24 months. So in the next sort of 3 to 4 windows, we're going to have to sign 2 central midfielders if we get rid of Fred now. That's why I'd sell Fred, because it's just a long-term thing. He's done well this season. Give him his props. But I think long-term, if we sell him now, in 2 years, we'll be looking at it like, hold on, we replaced Fred with this guy, and now Matic, we're not giving him a new deal. He's going off to Italy to resurrect his career. We sign another one. Our squad to be looking different. So for me,
I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't cry a tear if we sold Fred. Again, I respect what he done this season, but I'm not over the moon with him. Like some people were really gassing him up, and I don't. That's your prerogative. I don't have an issue with that, but I never got that with him. From the moment we signed him, I didn't have the affinity, and there were some great performances. I think even when we played Barca at home, he was very good in there. When we played PSG away, he was very good there. And this season, he's putting some very good performances. But he's putting very good performances. Just put the context. We were a very, very poor team. So I'm not saying it takes away from what he's done, but you just have to put it in context. The reality is, since we become a better team, he hasn't sniffed. He hasn't sniffed the first team. And when he has come in, he hasn't looked good. People say that he needs a run of games. Well, he ain't going to get a run of games. So the question is, what is his use to the squad now? That is the question we ask.
I'm torn. You know why?
McTominay is a bigger. McTominay is a bigger impact player. I'm not getting into discussion about whether he's better technically, but he's a better impact player in different positions than Fred. And if we're talking about squad depth, it's impact that we need.
KJ, let me ask you a question since you're on the fence. KJ, right, look at it like this, right? Right now we have to sell someone to buy someone. That's the way, Smalling goes on loan, we get Maguire. Valencia retires, basically. We get Aaron Wan-Bissaka, right? So in the next 6 to 12 months, would you be happy seeing us give Fred a new 150 grand a week contract or more? Would you be happy with that? If you're not happy,
I'll be happy for him for securing the back.
Yeah.
But then it's right. We have to wait for Matic to leave, but Matic is ahead of him.
Yeah. So I look at it this way: so it would have to be Fred, based on the fact that Scotty Mac is an academy player, and before everybody starts getting, just because he's British, no. Scotty Mac is, if he went 10 games without starting, Scotty Mac's just happy because he's a Man United fan. He's a Man United player from a kid. It's easier to treat an academy player like that, in my opinion, than it is someone that you bought in for £50 million. And when we bought him, all intents and purposes, that he was going to be a regular starter in our midfield and have a massive impact. And I thought he was brilliant from October through till lockdown. I didn't do a single thing right after lockdown, in my opinion, in terms of impact. When he came on the stuff many times, and it wasn't like he came on and we looked better or maintained. We went backwards. But you could raise a pretty penny for him. So it would be him I'd pick. If we can bring in, I mean, the Thomas Partey deal was madness. I was chatting to a journalist last night, and then we were speaking about the Thomas Partey deal, and he said, Arsenal have got him, but they're not putting the bid in, and the players becoming frustrated. I'm sitting there thinking, maybe Thomas Partey doesn't fit for all these reasons we've been talking about. Maybe he just isn't the right fit and player. But I wish you think 42 million for him, but then Ndidi's there, and I just think 24, 25 years old. Look at the average age of our team. Again,
you know what it is, yeah?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Logically, my brain's like, yo, if someone's gonna get slaughtered for the sacrifice, it has to be Frederick. He's 27. He's not Man United born and bred, like you say, and he's got a lot of qualities about him, but he doesn't show it enough. And the biggest thing is he's only been good when we've been bad, which is kind of telling what his level is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But my emotional attachment is kind of like, but it's Pastor Frederick. You know what I mean? So if you're asking me the question, I would accept it. You know,
basically, you're saying with your head, logically, you understand, but your heart is like.
But this is what this is what it comes down to when people look at the very, again, provincial thought of Sancho comes in, who misses out. Now I think we all know in the short term it's Greenwood because of his age, he's going to be nurtured. But equally, people, the Martial fanboys, and we know the people talk about just go straight away, yeah, Rashford will miss out. There's no consideration. And when you don't think about your answer, that means it's based on emotion. Like if you're not thinking, if you're just answering instantly, we all know. Do you know what I mean? Like when someone says, who's your favorite player? If you're being honest, you could answer it instantly. We all have a favorite. If someone says, who's your favorite player? I know I'm just going to say Rashford. It's going to come out of my mouth. I just love the kid. When I think about it logically, I'm like, the way Ollie talks about Rashford, the way that forget what you think, forget what I think, is what Ollie thinks. When someone says to me, who's going to miss out? It's like, I don't think it would be Rashford because of the way Ollie sees him as being and what he brings in and everything else and what he's done on the left. I just don't see it being him. I see if one of them misses out, if we keep playing 4-2-3-1 and Greenwood turns into this striker that the same Martial fanboys keep saying he's going to be, the guy that misses out is him. Now, that isn't because I hate Martial. It's because I'm being logical. What I really want is I want them to change the rules and let us have 12 players in the team. I want everyone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what my heart wants. That's what my emotion wants.
You know when people ask that question about people who would drop out, yeah? I've thought about it. And I've said, you know what, yeah? If Bruno was the guy to get dropped for Sancho in the middle, I wouldn't be upset, you know. I wouldn't.
As long as we were winning, as long as we were scoring, as long as, and that's my view on all of this. As much as I care about particular players emotionally, and I do have my own hierarchy of who I care about the most to the least, although I will treat them all with equality. That's one thing that doesn't happen with football fans as well. You know, if Phil Jones was to be slagged off in public, nobody would care. If it's Martial, it's like Spurley Phil Jones, because you don't like him, you don't care. And that for me is a very toxic element that we face in society. We laugh at people's, say somebody gets mistreated by the government, but they're from a group that we dislike. We laugh about it. If it's from a group that we feel connected to or we care about, it's the government's evil. It's like, well, you actually say it's all evil, and then you have a shred of credibility to actually stand up and speak. And I feel like that with football as well. But of course, football is a reflection of society. So there we go.
By the way, guys, Martial he's French. He joined us at 18 or 17. I want to say 17.
18, 19.
18. It's likely he's not going to finish his career in England.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, and I get that. For my view is, though, that I care about Man United above everything else, and I don't care who gets dropped as long as they're playing the right football. And that's the interesting thing. Fergie dropped many players at many times, and because we were predominantly always challenging, always winning, nobody ever really cared.
Yeah,
I mean, he picked so many shocking, weird teams for games. We won most of them, but there were loads. But it was like you'd criticize that one game, you'd move on because you know it was going to come good again.
Terry, you love
chat was before you go on chat. Listen, I know Bruno's mint. Yeah, I know. Me saying I would happily see him swapped for Sancho is nothing to do with logic. It's just emotional, fam. Like those 4 players that we're potentially going to have are my favorite players in world football with Paul Pogba. So of course I'm gonna say that Bruno Fernandes, I love him, fam. I think he's sick, but he's below them guys. So that's just me, innit? I'm not saying that
as well. Right? If you look at if we were to sign either Partey or Ndidi that we mentioned, right? Do you know how much supporters of certain political parties would hate Man United when the whole midfield and attack is foreign and black? Like, it would leave people. I mean, people wouldn't identify the fact that a couple of the guys are talking about are a mixed race, biracial. That wouldn't matter to some. It'd just be. I've seen comments along those lines. I saw a guy. He's been blocked now. He basically like put rolling eyes, and he's like, "Why do we need more of these type of players at the club?" I'm like, "Bro,
do you remember the 4-0 FC? Yeah, when it was Lukaku, Rashford, Martial, Pogba, Valencia, Young. You know how black we was in that season, fam. It was beautiful, and it's coming back, baby. It's coming back.
It's crazy about it, right? I sort of, again, everyone that knows me long enough knows, like, things that just are not like a bother to me. It's like, I just want if there were 3 better players we could sign that were all blonde hair, blue eyes, side partings, I'd want them, but not because they had that. It's just to be the best players. Like, I'm just, like, I'm in that kind of mindset, but you do, like, it will trigger some people. We've got to be straight. Souness is not going to like our team. And because the differences between the players you mentioned until now, quite a few of the boys you're mentioning have an eye for flair. They like a dance. They like to wear, like, clothes I couldn't pull off mainly because I'm shy. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's cool. Like, I don't care if a man's wearing a pair of skinny red jeans and a hat. Like, Sancho likes to dress. You know what I mean? Sancho, see that bag Sancho was wearing the other day? That, like, it looked like a miniature suitcase handbag type thing, right? Now, for me, I ain't wearing that. My boys, none of them on the floor, but that's him, and it's cool. I was looking at it thinking, Souness is gonna hate him. Souness is gonna see that bag. By the way, won't care if he comes to Liverpool. Won't care about the bag. But now. But do you remember Maddison getting crap in the season because he had that see-through Louis Vuitton bag or something that's worth about $5,000?
Oh, did you see him last night, fam? Or was it today? Up in the clubs and that, enjoying life, fam.
Maddison dresses pretty wavy, like, again, way Maddison dresses. Even when I was younger, I used to look at clothes like that in a shop and I'd be like, yeah, I like them, but I can't wear them. I was one of them. I didn't like to stand out when I was out. Does that make sense? I didn't like to be like the peacock, essentially. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe just the way I am.
You know what I love?
Terry likes to flex with that money.
Pogba's social media activity within the football club has gone up during this period of unbeaten games, and no one can say anything.
Wait, did you see the taxi one was hilarious? Where him and Matic, are really good friends.
The golf cart one. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. But then again, you see the beauty of it when he's welcoming Bailly back to training because he was at the hospital. We thought,
Also, Victor Lindelof and Paul Pogba very, very close. And again,
everyone loves Pogba. We know this. Yeah. I've seen, like, Paul, how can you not? Like, this is the thing. All these football fans here that hate these football players, if they met these guys, they'd love them.
It's like Aubameyang. Like, I've seen everyone on the time like, I just want to hate him, but I can't. You can't hate him. You can't.
You know who it reminds me? An interesting one is also like Scott McTominay. He's very well respected in the dressing room. Now, I don't know how fun or whatever he is because he doesn't seem that outgoing. But like, you get a lot of people that like Pogba, that like Rashford, Martial. They always have McTominay always like McMayo. They always have a go at him type thing. It's like, you do realize if you said that in front of your favorite players at the club, they would kick off at you because they respect and like him. Like, they're friends with this guy. That's what I don't get, where you get it never happened in my day where you'd have fans of this, all of the same club trying to create infighting amongst the players. It's very, very strange. But
Terry, there was a comment. There was a comment. I can't remember who it was from a bit earlier. Said, Terry, why do you hate on Marshall FC? That's what the comment was. And I'm not going to answer for you, but I can answer for myself. And I don't like any fan, I'll use the word inverted commas, who supports players over the club.
Yep.
And that's what you get when you hear the narrative. I expect it from rivals. I don't care if rivals call Marcus Rashford Trashford or Rashbeck or whatever you want. I don't care, because I would do the same thing to you. I call Lacazette Lacazette. I will call all of them. I don't care. That's what rivalry. That's what banter is. But when you're supposed to be supporting your own club, and that player is actually performing, it's not like they're doing a Pereira or a Lingard. They're actually performing. For you to go out of your way for the sake of maybe a few followers or likes on to not criticize, but to abuse your own players. For me, that's what I don't like. And what you get in these sections, like so-called, Marshall FC, is that they would do their utmost to downplay Rashford's achievements to uplift Marshall. Whereas me, I love Marshall. When he scores, I will sing Tony Marshall came from France. And when Rashford scores, I'm going to celebrate as well, because I want what's best for my team. Right now, Rashford and Martial are both performing in their specific roles for the club. If Sancho comes in and performs better than Rashford, and Greenwood is performing better than Rashford, and Rashford gets dropped, I don't have a problem, other than the fact that Rashford needs to up his performance. But if it's what's best for Man United, then that's the most important thing for me. If Martial then stops performing and Greenwood goes in that position and starts performing and Rashford comes in, again, I'm not going to have an issue other than the fact that Martial's not performing. I want what's best for my club, whereas a lot of these fan groups, or whatever you want to call them, where you just support a player, you want what's best for your player.
Yeah.
At a detriment or regardless of how that affects the club.
Yeah, you're treating football like it's pop music, rap music. It's like actors. To even other sports like tennis and UFC, where there's no greater good, and it's that person. You want your favorite rapper to win the Grammys. You want your favorite actor to win an Oscar. You want your favorite director's films to get the most. To win the most Oscars or to get the most at the box office. That's fine. You can be that biased. When it comes to football, the betterment of your team always has to be first. And even though sometimes they hide behind that, oh yeah, but I only want Rashford to play or Martial to play or Rashford to play. We've seen it with Bruno and Pogba. People trying to play them off against one another.
Yeah. When Bruno came in, the first narrative you got from Pogba haters or people that are trying to prove themselves right for what they said about Pogba was comparing Bruno to Pogba. Where in my head, I was like, yes, Bruno, now let's get Pogba back in the team. Not like we don't need Pogba. That was ridiculous.
It's not just that.
The Pogba supporters as well, though. Sorry, Dan. The Pogba supporters that, again, never criticize him and can't see anything that he's done as being wrong, which isn't the case. They were the other way where like penalty merchant, engine merchant, all these kind of comments are being said about him. And it's like, that's my issue. You're creating this infight, and you actually then make it easier for rivals to banter us. And our job is meant to be that we're a collective against everybody else. And you do have your own sort of disagreements in certain areas, and it's wrong. And for me, you can't, if you support a player over a club, don't wear if I could make the rules, if I ruled the world and I had a way of policing this, if you said you're Marseille FC and you supported the player more than the club, I would make it impossible for you to tweet about my club. I'd make it illegal for you to buy my kit. I'd make it illegal for you to do anything to do with my football club. I would stop you. Like, that's what I would do. Because I feel like if you're a rival, I'm all for it. Banter us, rip into us, slag my players off. That's part of football. But if you don't support any club and you just like one particular footballer, for me, I think you're an abomination to football.
Oh gosh. You said, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna bring the other side, because I understand what you're saying about those kind of fans, but I think there's also fans like myself that I would say, like, if Martial does something sick, I'll be like, yo, Martial FC, stand up. You know what I mean? Like, I would do it because that's me showing support to my player. My difference is I'd also call Rashford Rashnaldo and give him the same praise. So I think it's possible to be an FC of a player if they're within your club to show support. I just don't agree with the with necessarily using one
Elite
to
KJ.
highlight the other.
KJ, I changed my name this season, and I'm not changing it until the
Greenwood
season's done.
to Greenwood season. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that Rashford needs to be dropped for Greenwood or Marshall needs to be dropped for Greenwood. But I believe at the beginning of the season that this will be Greenwood's breakthrough season because people are saying, and these are players that are left. So I don't care now. People are saying, who's going to replace Sanchez's goals, all 5 of them? Who's going to replace Lukaku's goals? He had his worst season in English football last year. So I'm like, well, listen, Mason Greenwood, watch out. He's going to replace the goals that you're talking about. And I said, I'm keeping it all season until this done. But in the same breath, every time he scores, I just say, what do I say? I say, the clue's in the name. The clue is in my name. I don't have to say nothing. But in the same breath, I'm backing Rashford. I'm backing Martial. I'm backing anyone that is doing positive for Man United. And when I say, so the people that I hate, and I'm sure Terry feels the same, is the ones who back the player over the club. As opposed to alongside the club.
Wrong. And the way I look at it is this. There was a time where I didn't want Ollie at the club anymore, but I denounced the Ollie out brigade. Because the difference was, even when I didn't think Ollie was the right guy at all, I was wrong for saying that, in hindsight. But when we won a game, I'd go, well done, Ollie, today. Your tactics were right. This was brilliant. That was great. This was... Because I wasn't, like, blinded by my not wanting of him here. And that's the difference. So I wouldn't associate myself with the Ollie out brigade. And people have got to learn sort of the difference between that. You know, there are certain things on a political stance where I side left, and there are certain things where I might side more right, but I don't affiliate with the left or the right because I don't like the extreme ends of both those groups. And I feel like that now. I don't like the Martial FC guys who will slag off everybody to make Martial look better. Do I support the people that love Martial as their favourite Man United player and big him up when he does well? Do I stand by all the people that love Paul Pogba and ram it down Souness's neck when he has a brilliant game or a brilliant moment? Of course I do. Do I stand with the people that will slag off everything to do with Man United to inflate Paul Pogba? Absolutely not. As I say, those people are an abomination to football because when that player retires, they'll pick another player. And I just pray it isn't one that's at my club. And that's the issue. And that's the weirdest bit. Like, for me, you know, my son doesn't live with me. He lives in Ireland. You know, different culture, different religion, everything. I don't care about any of that. I don't care that if he picks Ireland as his national team. I don't care about any of it. My only hope, if he was to pick another club team, it would break my heart. The worst bit, if he was to grow up and be like, no, I support the players, I've got to think about emancipation. I have to. Like, it's got.
KJ, we spoke about this off air the other day. Remember, I was telling you, yeah. I think Prime asked me. I said, "There's no way in hell my son can support another team." Like, imagine we're gonna watch games together. He's got a Liverpool shirt on in my yard. Like, what?
No, imagine you have your son. He's like, "What do you want for birthday?" Be like, "Oh, can I get a Man City shirt?" But like, boy, what are you talking about? I'm not.
He's already got a Man United kit. He can't even speak properly. He's already got a Man United kit. He doesn't have a choice. He's gonna be a Man United.
I love him, but he's a madman. 5 boys that love football. Didn't make any of us support Tottenham.
Why?
That's probably a good thing.
You know what it is? He knew that they're not
your heart.
No, we were all born in the 80s though. Like, they weren't. That weren't long. Like, they weren't like they have been now. Like, not winning anything as such. But I suppose it was my dad's like of everything. My dad allows me and all my brothers to make our choices. He didn't want any of it. My grandparents, especially my nan, was very religious. He didn't allow any of us to be Christian because he said when they're old enough they can decide if they want to be religious or not. My dad is very much. If I come home tomorrow, said I'm converting to Islam. If my brother come home, said he's becoming a Buddhist, he'd just say, "You happy? Yes, crack on." You know, growing up, it didn't matter what background the girl we brought home was from. Rich, poor, black, white, it didn't matter. It was, are you happy? So my dad's uber liberal in that way. The only bit was weird is he let his kids pick their own football team. He's got one son who's an Arsenal fan, one who's United, and then he had sort of 3 that were Liverpool, but they all kind of converted to Leyton Orient. Yeah, but they converted to Leyton Orient because my brother was going to Arsenal games. I was going to a lot of United games, and they weren't traveling up to Liverpool, and they were just like, "Don't go. I can't call myself a supporter if I don't go." We lived opposite Leyton Orient's ground, so they started going to watch them. But I'm looking at my dad thinking, how, Dad? Like,
how did this happen?
Tottenham. Like, it's crazy. Like, we're in the East End, like where we lived in the East End, it was like in Leyton.
What did you say? What did you say? He supported Tottenham.
Yeah.
Supports Tottenham, yeah.
He probably didn't want to put you through the same. He didn't want to put you through the same pain he was going through.
I'm glad. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm so glad he never made me support them because I've had a much better footballing life.
Yeah, he was trying to save you the heartache that he was going through by allowing you to pick a better team than Tottenham.
But literally, if my son or daughter decides to like football, sick. If it's not Man United, yeah, it better be one of the worst teams in the world, fam. I swear.
And said, I'm going to
tell you guys a secret, though. Let me tell you guys a secret. You know, like Tottenham fans don't live in Tottenham, right? You guys know this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah. I was born in North Middlesex Hospital. My primary school was in Tottenham. Trust me. All of my mates who are Arsenal fans, they lived in Northumberland Park, right behind the stadium.
But
I had one mate that was a Tottenham fan. All Arsenal fans.
That's why people try to bring this argument. I remember I had this a few years ago back at the Emirates, and people asking me, well, who do you support? Why do you support Man United? Blah, blah, blah. I went around as a group of them. This was Ty, Mo, all from AFTV. And I asked all the people, where do you live? Where do you live? They live in South London. They live outside of London. I said, you should support in QPR. You should support in Crystal Palace. You live in Tottenham and you're supporting Arsenal, your nearest and dearest rivals. And you're going to say I can't support Man United when you live in Tottenham and you support Arsenal. That is an abomination by your definition. The
whole argument makes no sense because you get what happened is you get fans of certain clubs, and be like, oh, you're not a real fan of your club. You don't live there, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll brag about why they're one of the richest teams in the world. You know why? Because there's fans from all over the place.
Yep. I'm one of these, but again, if they're rules, I'm a rules man. I love a rule. If you make a rule, you've got to live within a certain proximity of your club or been born within a certain proximity, cool. But then it's like, how far's the limit? Because the point being is, if you look at Manchester, there are lots of parts of Manchester. So if they say like it's within 50 miles of Old Trafford, what about that guy that's 50.2 miles? Like, always going to want to extend it by a mile, by a mile, by a mile. Oh, I'm almost in. And then how far do you go? Like, that's the point. And that, and I understand that, in the earlier days, it was about your local team and you'd go down. But, when football was invented, you couldn't travel easily from west to East London, let alone from south to north of England. But the world's changed. The
only live football was the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Premier League football, league football wasn't live on television until the 90s.
Man United had a London supporters club that was 60,000 members strong before the Munich air disaster. And it's where one of our songs stems from about, football taught by Matt Busby. And, when we're playing in your town, I don't remember singing the song out loud, but it was, so Matt Busby introduced a style of football that nobody else in Britain had ever played before. And we'd go to clubs and play, and they'd have their biggest, we still sing about now, you've only come to watch United. And we've been singing that since the 50s because team fans would turn up to watch their local team that they had no interest in watching because they'd heard about Sir Matt Busby and the Busby Babes style of football. And it built a fan base. And then after the Munich air disaster, there was a romantic attachment to the club because of this horrific tragedy that drew more people to him. Through the 70s and 80s, when we were average to terrible, we had hundreds of thousands of fans around the country that supported the club. And then when the Premier League started, we were lucky. We benefited massively from the televisation of football with the Premier League. We then hit our peak. So the best team were then being televised everywhere. It's why you see loads of youngsters now as Chelsea fans and City fans. And you're going to start seeing loads of new youngsters come through as Liverpool fans because they're the biggest and best teams. It's the natural way it goes. And do you know what? If West Ham got an owner that came in that made them as big as Chelsea have been the last 15 years, West Ham, by the way, go to all these stadiums, go to all these other clubs, the West Hams of this world. Look around the stadium at the flags. Malta Hammers, Belfast Hammers, New York Hammers. And yes, some are going to be expats, but so many are not. All these clubs have international fan clubs. The difference is you're just not as big and as popular as we are.
Well, the reality is, in one breath, as KJ said, in one breath, they're saying, oh yeah, we're the biggest club in the world because we've got X amount of fans. And the next breath, they're cussing Man City because they can't fill out the stadium. Yeah, that's because all their fans are probably within 3 miles of the club.
You can't win with these groupies. That's what they are.
Hot Reds fan.
Montreal FC guys, yeah, they're groupies. Terry calls them an abomination. They're groupies. They're groupies for football players. Like, that's what they are. And I think a lot of them don't even watch full matches. They see highlights and they're like, that guy, and it's only the skillful players they're fanboys for. It's never like a Declan Rice. It's never for a tough tackler. Like Ndidi's a top baller. There's no Leicester fans like I want Ndidi over the other guy. Like what's his name? Forgot Madison. That's not
unless you're Ricky from the fan, man. He's Matic FC chairman and everything, fam.
Oh, Ricky.
Yeah. For the skillful players. This guys just watch YouTube clips.
Yeah, but that's because those players are the players that make you fall in love with football. Like I can't get it.
But you know the thing is, like, you know what it is for me? Like, this is the way I look at it, yeah? In the 90s, it was York, Cole, right? Sheringham, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We had Van Nistelrooy and Rooney. We got Saha anyway. Unfortunately, Saha got injured. And then Fergie took the piss. We didn't need Berbatov. We didn't need him. We just bought him because we could. And that's what people need to get used to with Man United. We're going to start doing things we can. We're just going to start doing what we can do it, so we're going to do it. Like, it's 3 positions, 4 man. I don't care who starts. Rotate all of them. Yeah, as long as they're banging in goals, playing in 1-2, scoring, it doesn't matter. I want to ask you guys a question, actually. What would you say over-under for 120 goals and assists combined between those 4 next season?
Just under.
Goals and assists combined for all 4 of them.
Goals and assists combined.
Yeah, for all 4 of them.
All right, so obviously we have to assume that they're all fit throughout this whole season. Firstly.
Yeah, and we rotate all 4 of them between the 3 positions.
30 each, right? Or throw in Bruno Fernandes, and I'll say 150 between all 5.
I'm gonna say under.
140 between all of them, including Bruno.
For the 4, I'm gonna say under because we're playing in the Champions League and not the Europa League. So I'm gonna say under, but I think between the 4 of them, I'll be happy with 100.
It's goal and assist combined, not just.
Yeah, I know, but if you what did Rashford? Rashford got 24, which is the most this season. I know he was out for 2 months, but he got 24. So if we say he got 30. Martial gets 30 and Sancho gets 30, for example.
Right.
That's
what are you saying, KJ?
Yeah, under.
I'm saying under just for the fact that I feel like there's still going to be a bit of gelling time. There's still going to be a bit of getting used to each other and I don't know. And I don't know.
Yeah, we're up for the propaganda, KJ. Mate.
The pop, you know what? If you want the prop, I've got the prop. I'm trying to be conservative, but if you guys want the gas, I can give it to you.
I'm telling you right now, those 4, Greenwood, Sancho, if we get him, I think we're going to get him. Martial, Rashford, I'm telling you now, 130, goals and assists combined.
Clip it. Somebody clip it.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Yeah. Rashford and Martial next season are going to ascend. They're going to ascend because they're going to have the benefit of a full season with Bruno and Pogba in the same goddamn 11. I don't think Rashford was ascending before Bruno came in January.
That's true.
You could see that. Fam. You could see the trajectory. You can see where he's at mentally. He'll get it back next season. You know, you guys sit on the fence. I'm saying 130 combined.
I want to be pleasantly surprised. Because the thing is, at the start of this season, I know Terry said that I think both of them will get over 20, Rashford and Martial. And I personally in the league, I said I backed that. For me, their target should be in the league minimum 15. And when Rashford got injured in January, I was like, oh, God. And he was on 14 or something at the time. I was like, oh, someone's going to bring this back and say, oh, he's only ended on 14. But obviously, lockdown happened and he came back and I think they both ended on 17. So I would expect, I know Rashford's not taking penalties anymore, but I would expect Martial to get 20 in the league. And I'll expect Rashford and Sancho to get 15 in the league. That's for my minimum target for all of them.
Yeah,
goals and assists combined.
Okay.
No, goals and assists combined. Goals and assists are combined. I would say 20. But like Rashford and Sancho, I would say
30 each. They're going to average at 30 each, whatever way you
in all competitions.
I'm going to say 20. Yeah. I'm going to say 25. I'm going to go with 100 between all of them. What I will say is my one is that I'm sticking with Bruno Fernandes. He'll be above 80%. So if he plays 55 games next season, In 85% of them, he's scoring and assisting on an average basis. That boy is going to, by the end of next season, it's going to be KDB who.
Oh, hey, listen, you guys want?
You know what?
Yeah?
Let me revise my
got-
statement.
wait.
Let me revise my statement. Let me say 120.
The calculator's out, guys. The calculator's out.
120. I just did some math.
Yeah, bro.
Quick math.
Oh, yeah.
Listen.
You wanna hear prop? Yeah, I'm going for it. Yeah, you see Martial, Black Panther. Yeah, Golden Boot winner next season. That's gold, bro. He's winning the Golden Boot.
I can
Winning
see
the
that.
Golden Boot. He is.
What midfielder scored the most amount of goals in the Premier League history? Is it Lampard?
Yes.
Oh,
He
well,
won
in
one season, yeah.
in one season. Oh wait, you mean Yaya Toure? Didn't he get like? Did he get like 20?
Maybe Yaya actually. Did Lampard
He
get
was
more?
madness.
It could have been Lampard.
It's Frank Lampard.
It's Frank Lampard.
How many?
Frank Lampard.
How many goals? How many goals though?
It probably would have been 19 goals.
Didn't Yaya get 20? Didn't?
Yeah, that's why Yaya. It was at all comps. I remember one season he was on a madness.
I think Yaya might have got. I could be wrong, but did he not get 20 in 2014?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Someone in the chat would know.
Wait, Yaya Toure is one of my favorite midfielders of all time.
Come on, guys. There's bare of you in the chat. Someone must know who got the most.
Go on, give it to us. Yeah, I know you Chelsea fans love views from Frankie Lampard. You know what I'm saying?
I want to know what it is, but my point is Bruno Fernandes will
Someone
beat
said
that
Lampard got 22.
Ooh.
league goals.
That's what Big Boy Steve is. That league? I don't know. 22. Oh, he said it's. Toure got 20.
Correct.
In the league.
20 league goals though.
Toure got 20 league goals. I'm sure he did.
I swear it was league goals, man. It was. I remember it. Remember that one of those goals, halfway line, is ran the entire length of the pitch. Yeah, and it's
Guys, you keep saying Lampard got 22. Is that in the Premier League? Just confirm Premier League.
No, I think Premier League his max was 19. That's what I think. That's
why did someone put him like him?
Because the 20 plus goal scorer thing from midfield is a little bit of it because it's all comps. It's not just in the Prem.
Big Boy Steve is saying PL 2009-10 22 league goals.
Okay.
And Yaya Toure, I think he got 20. They're saying
20.
But someone says must be pens if Bruno wins. You don't think Lampard was on pens his whole Chelsea career?
Right, yes. So yeah,
what's with this new generation of football fans like moaning about penalties?
2013-14 season, Yaya Toure got 20 league goals. Matt Letizia is an interesting one. What is he classed as? Is he classed as a striker or midfielder? He's classed as a midfielder.
Yeah, he's not.
Matt Letizia has the record actually. 25 he got in 030 in 93, 94.
Wait, but is this the fancy football team where your centre back is Lundstrom and he plays in midfield? Is it one of them things?
But Matt Letizia is a number 10, isn't he? And that's what Bruno is, I guess. So Bruno's a 10. Bruno's a 10. So
midfielder. So I think that's what the record is. So it's 25. So I'm going to revise my original statement. 20 by Lampard. He will break Lampard's 22 goal record next season.
In the league or
in the league.
Okay.
Super chat here says heard the news.
You know what? If we get 17 penalties again.
Heard Jamal Lewis to Liverpool for 10 million. Melissa and Lynch have said it. Yeah, I've heard about that. David Lynch.
Jamal Lewis.
Left back for Norwich.
Northern
Irish.
He got the same representatives and agents as Trent and Robertson as well. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a dot on the cards. But yeah, again, listen, the whole he takes penalties is mad. Like in that season, and we can actually break that down. If we look at Frank Lampard as an example and go to that season, that was 09-10. And it mattered. Lampard stopped playing for Chelsea 6 years ago. Time goes too quick, you know.
Way too quick.
Like I look at that. It feels like it was only a couple of seasons ago Frankie Lampard stopped playing there. Let's go look at what you can do on transfer market's got a very good element to there.
Where the position they played.
You can take positions, but you can also look at penalty.
You're Stu MC. I know Lundstrom's not a centre back, but on fantasy football on the PL app, he was listed as a centre back on the fantasy football thing, and that's why I said that. He's not a centre back. But he got me hella points though, clean sheet and assists in one game. Let's go, man.
So that season, he only scored. He missed 2 and scored just 1 penalty. Actually, Lampard that season, so that's pretty decent. They took 3, but he missed 2 of them. So it was 21 goals. I think 2 or 3 kicks as well. But yeah, But I don't care. Like from my point of view, if all 20 are penalties, look at the penalty in the last third of the season. That penalty was so decisive. Like as you say, modern day football fans say it, but yeah, he will beat. Let me repeat that again for everyone in the back. Bruno Fernandes will beat Frank Lampard's Premier League goal scoring record next season by getting 23. I'm not going to say he's going to beat Matt Letizier's, but he'll get 23 plus goals next season in the Premier League. Bruno
so
has to be fit. That season, Frank Lampard, as an example, played, and we'll just check this now. I'll go back and get the information. Frank Lampard played 36 games.
36 games. I knew you were going to say 36. The man there was fit every game.
He has to play. He'll break that record in 34 or more games. That's what he has to play. Outside of that, the bet's off. But if he only played 20 games with an injury, it's off.
All right, so that's your big call. My big call is Martial Golden Boot. Neeks, what you saying, fam? You got
what you saying, Neeks? Put your neck on the line, bro.
Guys, man.
You can do a Mason Greenwood.
I'm gonna go. I mean, is it a big call? How many assists did AWB get this season?
4.
Then it's not a big call. Then I'm not calling. I'm not calling double figures on AWB. I'm not doing
that. You could say Greenwood wins Young Player of the Season next season for the Premier League.
How about Greenwood gets 20 league goals?
Guys, man, you pull it. Listen, I'm gonna keep it. Let me keep it. Let me just enjoy the rest of the season. Innit? I ain't making no big calls yet. My big calls will come. My big calls will come when I do my my pre-season preview, whatever I'm gonna do. But right now, let me just enjoy the rest of the season
as well. Bruno 2021 top 5 in the Ballon d'Or ratings.
Yep. Then we're gonna have to pay. Then we're gonna have to pay Sporting some more money.
KJ, how many goals for Martial next season?
How many goals for Martial?
Saying top score, but how many goals?
26.
Okay, so you're talking 32 plus in all competitions.
Yeah. Easy. 35, fam. 35 all comps. 35 all comps, fam.
Ballon d'Or contender. Ballon d'Or contender.
Nah, because he ain't in the French national team. That's, you know what I mean? Like, the Ballon d'Or is a popularity thing, fam. So, like...
And this is what I'm about to say about the Ballon d'Or thing. So, do you know what I love about Bruno at the minute as well? He's winning a lot of individual player awards. I think he got PFA Player of the month again. And it's like, PR teams in overdrive. We don't deserve it. Rare. But whenever you want people throw in, like, Hazard was a better winger than Giggs, they throw in that Hazard won so many more man of the matches and individual player awards. So people chop and change whether they take those awards seriously or not. I don't take them seriously. I'm just predicting that I think Bruno Fernandes, he's one of these players, whether it's right or wrong, the football world loves him. And if Man United have a season next year, we'd have to win the Premier League and Champions League probably for him to win it. We know how it works. But if he has a season where he does what he's done for the last couple of years at one club, if he comes in 53 games next year in all competitions and he scores and assists 45 to 50 goals, he'll make, and he's doing it in Champions League and Premier League, he'll make the top 5 in the Ballon d'Or, because it's great business for FIFA and the Ballon d'Or to have a Man United player in the mix, because it attracts all the Man United fans. Haven't really given a shit about those award ceremonies, the best awards and the Ballon d'Or awards for however many years, because we know that we have no one who's up for winning. Look how many Liverpool fans were talking about it when Ronaldo was winning it at Man United, compared to who are talking about it now that they've got Salah, Mane and Van Dijk. Now they're all over it. It's great business to have Bruno Fernandes in the mix, but to be there, he's got to deliver. So, and by the way, if he's doing that in the Premier League and Champions League for Man United next year, scoring and assisting at nearly 100%, he deserves to be in the top damn 5. Like literally would deserve it, because no one else is doing it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, someone said Goatwood in the chat. Yo, Cheebs, 14th. He's going on. That's going on the list of names for Greenwood. Goatwood, fam. I love that.
Goatwood.
And then I saw James been spamming us with something. He says KJ, Terry, Devil, Neeks. As Sancho might be off, weren't this the same with Bruno was off, but still got him. Think might be the same as Sancho, and and we get him. Yeah, we said that. Yeah, we said that earlier, bro. It's happening, fam.
It's not going to be off. It's not going to be off. It's not going to be off. Like, you know, I feel like the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. You know what I mean? He is. He said, "I'm not fucking leaving." He is fucking coming. Do you know what I mean? He is. Do you know? I can imagine. They wouldn't, but wouldn't it be amazing? Ollie just walks into the dressing room slowly before the game tomorrow. Just stands there with a microphone and just says, "Sancho's fucking coming," and just everyone, Sancho fucking coming.
Right. This is a serious question, everybody in the chat. How sick will this Jadon Sancho announcement video be? Yeah? I'm saying how it starts off here. Santan Dave comes out of smoke, fam. You know what I'm saying?
Has to be Santan Dave. Has to be
Santan Dave. Agent Dave and that. He comes out of the smoke, starts spitting some bars. He says Sancho, and boom, the piano that was there, Jadon Sancho just comes in, gets a hammer, boom, slaps it, gets a match, lights up the thing, fam, and goes, "Let's go, baby." And then the rest of the video is just a madness. I'm telling you, fam.
You know what? You know what's mad?
Go on.
You know what's mad? I was watching the we were talking about earlier into Alexis Sanchez, and I was watching his announcement video today. It was actually so sick. It was actually, I was so gassed. I was so gassed for it. And I was watching his video. I was watching Pogba and Stormzy when we announced Pogba. And I was like, we need to do something like that. We need to do something like that.
That came out as well at like 3 o'clock in the morning. That caught all YouTubers off guard. I remember going to sleep at about 1, waking up at like 6, and it come out about 2 or 3 in the morning. I was like, oh my God, missed it. And it was like, it was mad. But I also feel like he can't because he's still playing football. You know, like we haven't had a great 7 since Ronaldo. I really wish there could be sort of a bit of a, there's your shirt with a little wink. Something would be like, you know, like, but we can't do it. But maybe Beckham, like someone, someone who's been a class number 7, just like
Cantona.
Oi, King Eric cameo. King Eric cameo with Rashford and Greenwood. Oi, listen, let's go. I'll do it. So people are saying you can't do Dave because of I don't care. Dave and H.
Okay, this one will be funny as well, right? Like Mr. Bean, just start driving past, doing that at the Etihad.
You know what? I heard somebody saying that we should do like a welcome to Manchester.
Yeah,
I saw that somewhere, but I hope we don't. Like, you know how they did Tevez, because that just shows that even in their greatest moment, we were on their mind. I don't want Man City to get any because they're already getting 15% of the fee. That's all they're gonna get when it comes to Sancho. In terms of us, I don't want to even think think about them. So to hell with the Etihad, to hell with man. Welcome to Manchester side.
I almost want to see him run up to Pep and slap his bald head, fam.
Have you boys seen this video? I'm going to share it and put it up on the screen. It is the best video, man. I saw this and I was like, can you imagine getting aired? Like no one expected Sancho to turn around. Oh, did I save it to my likes or did I save it to my...
I haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it, I think I did quote tweet as well, so it might be on my page.
Yeah, let me go to yours. Yeah. I thought I saved it earlier. I clearly didn't.
Did I quote? I did quote tweet.
Sancho, against Man City, he runs over the Pep, slaps his bald head. Oh, it seems. It's happy. I want it to happen, guys. I really do. Just imagine.
It's not that.
No. What dance should he do in front of the City bench? Millie Rock. Should he just Millie Rock in front of the City bench? But
he should just get this Jesse Lingard out to do the celebration with him, just to make it even worse.
I'm gonna miss Jesse if he leaves, man. If he leaves, bro, I'm gonna miss him.
You know what? Yeah, Jesse Lingard. He's actually like a good guy. Like he genuinely is. You know what I mean? It's just a shame that we don't never get to see the side of him that is mature. We can see the beans, and the guy that messes around.
No, I don't mind.
I just sent it to you on Twitter DM.
Yeah. I literally just found it at the same time. And here it. This is it. It's great.
Sancho, brother, please come Arsenal, save my club. Yeah, you please, Sancho, come Arsenal. Sancho, brother.
You know what's funny about that as well? You know, we said about the way that guy tweeted Fabrizio earlier. It's like, hey, yeah, you really think that's polite? You really think that man's going to turn around? Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, of course he's the only Sancho there, bruv. Like, he's going to play for anyone. Like, you. Like, he needs to be reminded of who he is. It's crazy when you think about that. Like, they never respond to those things. Anyway, and you're not even doing it in a kind of, like, honestly, if I met any of these players, it'd be the last thing I'd ever say to any of them is, "Oh, come my club." Like,
nah, I saw Demario Gray on Sunday night because I was out in Birmingham filming, and I was going home and he was coming into the clubs and that, and the partner was like, "I want to say hi because it's Demario Gray and I think it's a baller." At the same time, it's like, he's just out with his mates, man. Like, relax, let him just live his life, man. And I didn't talk to him in the end, fam, because I'm like, yo, let's not bother these people.
You might talk. I once saw Alicia Dixon in a shopping centre in St Albans. No, not St.
Did you ask her to marry you? Because I would. I'll get on the knee right there for Alicia Dixon.
And like, I saw her. I was like, yo, who's that lighty? It's like, rah. No, that's Alicia Dixon, rah. It's like, and what, you think I would have said anything? Of course I didn't. I didn't say a single word. I just, you know what I really thought? I was just like, yo, she actually pangs still. She actually pangs in real life.
She's hella pang. Man was a kid. Watched her in Strictly Come Dancing.
I kept it moving. Oh, this is way before Strictly Come Dancing. Way before.
Listen, Strictly Come Dancing.
When I was at
still MCing, gone.
When I was at the Cricket World Cup last year, and literally any opportunity I got to take with somebody to play, like Chris Gale, for example, I was taking it. Like, usually I'm not like that. I'm much more, you know what, I said, no, I don't know if I'm going to see these guys again. Like, this Chris Gale's pretty much retired from international cricket. I saw Curtly Ambrose. Who else did I see? Clive Lloyd. These are West Indies legends. I was like, no, because they're not coming to England every so often, innit? So I was like, I'm getting a picture. The only non-sporting person I've really done that with, I don't know if you don't watch The Apprentice. There was a woman on there called April Jackson. She's an ex-Miss Jamaica. And she got a restaurant down in Brixton called Three Little Birds. And I was like, I'm going to go in there. And I'm going to, like, when I see her, I'm getting a picture. So we went there, we ate. I sit at the table. And she came out of the kitchen. I'm like, hey, April, let's get a picture. I didn't care. I did not care. She is buff.
I've always found it hard, like, to say, around celebrities when I've met them, to kind of to sort of do that thing. It's almost like I want to let them know I respect what they do, but it depends. I remember being like, I really find Russell Brand a very interesting man, and I see him at a restaurant once, but he was with friends, and I'm like, I'm desperate to say something. It wasn't the right moment, and then he kind of walked past my table and he made eye contact, and I was like, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I said, I didn't know what to say, right? It wasn't like I wasn't starstruck. It was like I didn't want to stop him going where he was going. I was going to say, listen, I'm really sorry to bother you. I like, respect what you do. Blah, 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 blah. Cheers, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. And he's like, oh, yeah, cheers, thanks. And he sort of walks off. But it was like, even that felt awkward. But it was almost like I didn't want to, he clearly knew I recognized him. I didn't want to act like I didn't, which I find weird. At the same time, I didn't want to like, you ever heard Kevin Hart's story about a guy that bumped into him as they were both, he was going into the bathroom and this guy was coming out of a restaurant. And he said to the guy, the guy said, can I have a picture and an autograph? He went, yeah, absolutely. He goes, let me just go to the bathroom and then I'll come out. And basically, Kevin tells a story very funny about how he was going for a shit. But he went in, did his business, and as he walked out the cubicle, the guy was just standing outside the cubicle. The guy just sat there. And he said he wasn't a weirdo, but he said he was so desperate for me not to like air him off and walk away and not bother. He stood outside the cubicle. So he goes, man, just listen to me shit. And it's like, he said to the guy, look, you just wait outside. And that's the thing. And again, I would never do something along that level. But equally, I always remember like Liam or Noel Gallagher, one of the two said it is, if they walk out after doing a concert and they see someone in the Oasis t-shirt and they want a picture or an autograph, they're always happy to do it. They said, but when they're out and about, and what I like about Liam and Noel Gallagher, they'll tell you how celebrities really feel. Like when I'm out and about and I'm dinner with my family and you see me, it's like, please leave me alone because I'm not working then. And the only people that I don't give that wide berth to, not that I care about them, is, the sort of the reality stars, the tabloid stars are only famous because they're in the newspapers. For me, I think they've got open season to report on, follow them, because that's how they stay relevant. Like, I always find it weird how these sort of like these people are they're not famous for being singers, actors, sports stars, scientists. They're just sort of famous for being kind of outrageous.
They're famous for being famous.
Yeah, I feel like you don't have any right to tell these people to leave you alone. If they all left you alone, you wouldn't be famous. And the reason you're famous is your life. So, yeah. So for me, if I see someone out, like I remember seeing, what footballer was it? I remember seeing Solskjaer lived in Manchester. He was at a petrol station. I heard him say something behind me. I knew the voice. I turned around. Yeah, I think he was with one of his kids. She was one of his kids. And I sort of made contact. And I sort of went, "You all right, Ollie?" He said, "Yeah." And then I left. I wanted to chat to him. I had loads to say. His family paying for petrol. They're going somewhere. I'm like, who am I to stop him? But I remember David Beckham was in Manchester when I was up there. He stopped over. He was there for something. And he went into a petrol station to fill up his car. Spent 2.5 hours on the forecourt signing autographs. For everyone. Like, oh, what a man to do. Like,
Beckham, innit?
yeah, like, and then once one person, and they crowded, and they said it, and then they got round the local. It was Beckham. Everyone just queued up to see him. Obviously, being in Manchester as well, like absolute legend up there.
I met Ashley Fletcher when he's playing for Middlesbrough, because that's when I went uni. Like, big up Teesside Uni and that. But yeah, I went in the barbers, yeah, and I sat down, and he was getting his haircut, and I'm sitting there chilling, and I look in the mirror, and I just look at his face, and like, is that Ashley Fletcher? And I was like, I said to him, I was like, "Yo, is that Ashley Fletcher I see?" He was like, yeah. I was like, sick. Like, how you doing? He's like, right. So I was talked to him about like how I wanted him to do well at United, and it's a shit. I wish he had that chance, but he was like, yeah, it happens. And I was like, are you enjoying Middlesbrough? He's like, yeah, it's good. I ended up taking a photo of him. In the photo, man made me look like a midget, fam. Like, he's like 6'1", 6'2", man. He was embarrassing, fam. I was like, yo, let me just post this and then delete it like straight after.
I met Usain Bolt in a party, well, 2 parties actually, when I was over in Trinidad Carnival, and there were a couple of fetes, and I sighted him like from a little far away. I was like, that's Usain Bolt, innit? Went over there. I was like the first one to get over there. Went over to go a picture. As I turned around like to take the picture, I see a big queue behind me. I was like, damn, everyone's seen it. And obviously he's just there enjoying himself, innit? But people are like, she's saying Bolt, innit? I was like, I had to get a picture. I saw him like 2 days later at another party, got another picture.
I'm so glad that
You sound like my veteran. You know, I've got a friend here. He works in Central. He just always runs into famous people, and he does not give a damn. He always gets a picture, puts it on Facebook within minutes. You know,
well, the thing is,
look who I just saw in Central London, and he always posts it, and I'm like, you got no shame.
Where I work in Mayfair essentially. So if you go out for a coffee, you see someone. Like it's that, especially in the warmer months. And obviously David Beckham's around there quite a bit as well. He gets, I'm not going to say what cafe, but there's a cafe where he gets sat when he's in London, where he always gets food from on a regular. And if you like, if you stand outside that make sure you go to that restaurant. Like if you go past it every day, at some point in a 2 or 3 period, you see David Beckham, and he's easy to spot because there's always a fucking crowd around him. But even then, I've seen him from a distance where he'll just spend 20, 30 minutes out of his time, whatever he's doing, just talking to people and then moving on. And like, it's amazing, like how much people like that do. And then there are others that like, they literally go away. I remember one, we were out, all these United guys from our supporters club. We were in Cafe Football in Stratford. We were in there to watch I think the last pre-season game of the pre-season season when Van Gaal was manager. It was either his first or second season, one of the two. And all the BT Sports guys came in to there. They all came in. It was Gary McAllister was there, Michael Owen, Steve McManaman, and one other dude I didn't recognize. And they walked in. We were sort of sitting there, and one of the lads we were with, he was from Withenshaw, lived in London now. See him, he wouldn't say something. He just shouted out loud as he could, "You scouse bastards," right? The whole restaurant, right? Steve McManaman came over and was like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? My guy was stood up, squared up, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, you scouse bastard? And I'm like, mate, just chill out. Like, they're here to have a drink. And he went, nah, they'll kick me, like, get the fuck out. It's our pub. And I'm like, mate, it's not. It really ain't. And it was like that. And then we all, a few of us went over and kind of apologized because it was like we didn't want to get kicked out. We had quite a good relationship with them. We used to watch quite a lot of games in there and stuff like that. But I remember that was just, it weren't even like a fame moment. It was just an awkward moment where it was like, it could kick off in a minute. Do you know what I mean? But I give my guy credit because most, like most of the time, people say, no one would say something to these people's faces. Some of these lads that were from Manchester, especially, that they would, when it comes to Liverpool or City players, they would definitely say something to their face. There's no messing, they'd be straight on it. And there was no, he didn't want a picture as well. Guys, I'm leaving, I'm going to stand. We went to Asper's Casino afterwards. But yeah, that was.
Remember that Tottenham fan that met Saul Campbell at like a football event, and he was like,
that was a fan channel.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, he called him. That was mad. See, he got that take.
What happened? They met
the FIFA Best Awards, I think it was. The boys from We Are Tottenham TV. They interviewed Campbell on the red carpet because we used to get access to it. And I don't comment what they asked him. Why is he a Judas? Or they called him a Judas, or they called him a snake. They called him something along those lines. Campbell, like halfway through interviewing him, Campbell kind of went ape at them, and then was asking Robbie, because obviously Robbie knows them and he knew Robbie, to ask if they wouldn't put it out. Because obviously he didn't really cover himself in glory, Sol Campbell, in the way he reacted. Does that make sense? Because it wasn't said aggressively. They just said it as a bit of a joke. And if you've been interviewed...
he's a serious guy, though. He takes himself very seriously.
Yeah, he does. But that's also one of those moments where that's where fan channels and footballers and ex-footballers, that's where the problem lies. Like if you're someone like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, I think he laughed, no matter what you say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Xhaka walking over to the group we were, because I was with Troops and DT and those guys, and Granit Xhaka said something along the lines that they'd won the game at the weekend and went up to them and said, do you think we showed enough? Did I show enough cojones at the weekend? They were chatting and laughing and joking. So like Granit Xhaka could clearly you could tell that Granit Xhaka could take a joke from those guys. There were others who were just like, who you guys here with? Fan media. They were like, no thanks, and they walked away.
Yeah.
They're just not. It's probably because they've got no personality and they don't know how to interact and do it. It's very easy with and what was mad as well, because it was Ross's dad who ran UFF who was putting the event on. We had the best position of all the journalists and photographers on the red carpet. We were right by the entrance where people. It was crazy. That was a wicked night. That was. I met some serious people that night. I met Maradona, R9, Peter Schmeichel.
Pixar didn't happen. Pixar didn't happen.
Pixar didn't happen. Well, I put a video out actually. We also like I didn't get to talk to guy next to me. Got a picture. Hello to Lionel Messi was there. Like everyone was probably trying to get selfies with them all as well. But me, see, I got interviews with some good people, but I didn't have my phone out because I had my camera ready to make these interviews with them. Everybody else was like, just give me a selfie. I'm like, why you guys want to? And then I realized they just get more traction on socials than these videos did. I interviewed Philip Schofield. That was fun. He was there. He come and chat. But all the
Miros is
Mira, yeah. I interviewed him. That's still up for me. But interestingly, the ex-players, so like the Schmeichels and that of this world, if you said come for an interview, they just come straight over it. I think it showed like all the modern day guys, I think they're just told not to speak to anybody really. Harry Kane was there, said hello to him. Cristiano, yeah, it was decent. Sean Dyche came over and said hello. We asked
hi Terry, how you doing?
It was good. It was a good day out. That was. It was a good event. But again, we actually got into the event afterwards again, which pissed the journalists off because they weren't allowed in. And we were in there and we were just terrible because when certain things, we were all just chanting for our clubs and stuff, and everyone else is like, ugh, what's going on? And we just like, you had all the AFTV boys in there because Giroud was up for best goal of the year for the Scorpion kick. And they were chanting these songs, and the audience were like, "This it was like what's going on? This doesn't normally happen." It was because you've let some retrobates in. We're all up there singing and
hooligans.
Pretty much. But boys, listen, I appreciate you all coming on, having your say. It's been a quick 2 hours.
Score predictions for tomorrow?
5-0 Man United.
4-0.
I'm going 6 with a Greenwood hat trick.
I'll say 4-0. I'll go with a nice solid 4-0.
Big scores. There we go. Boys, I appreciate you all coming on. Everybody who tuned in, thank you. Take care. Good night. God bless. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.